It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Tuesday, February 27th. Good morning. We got ourselves a radio show today. In 2 hours, we're gonna be giving away Peter Frampton tickets. Holy crap! Peter Frampton's gonna be in town April 1st, and we're giving away tickets at 8 o'clock. That's gonna be worth your time. We'll play a game. We'll put you through the ringer. We'll make you earn those tickets. I'm looking forward to that show. I forgot all about him coming. That's exciting.
What if he was just like joking about it for April Fools and he didn't even show up?
That'd be a lot of people in on the joke.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
That would be
crazy.
crazy.
Get a cover band. It might sound better.
He's going to be in studio with us. April Fools. That's a joke. Maybe. I don't know. Let's see. Maybe. Who knows? But we are actually giving away tickets. That's going to be kind of cool. I'm excited about that. Okay, let's just get right to it. Okay, we have a good time here. We enjoy it. But I need some honesty from the three of you. Would you take a different job for the exact same money you're making now? What would it take? What would it require?
No.
Because a third of Americans polled said yes, for the same money, not $1 more, they would switch jobs.
Nope.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter what it is. Huh?
Bump it 5%. 50% of Americans jump ship from the current job they have.
Yeah.
Nope.
No.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
We're just talking about pay, though. There could be better perks, a better place to live. What about unlimited paid time off?
I think. Well, okay, sure.
Flexible work hours.
I think this is basically this thing I'm reading is basically saying, same kind of job, same skills, same requirements, but you just it's really this. Are we all suffering from workplace wanderlust? Is the grass greener elsewhere?
It's only one way to find out.
I've only been here a year, so I'm still kind of like glowing in a honeymoon. But I'm looking around at the three of you, and you just look miserable, all three of you.
Is the studio on the beach? Ocean
a year
view?
ago, my answer would have been different.
I just said all three of you look miserable, and no one argued. I was joking. I thought it was funny, and you're all three like, well, I mean, what, get a beach involved? What are we doing here? Come on, let's go. Come on, we're having a good time.
Yeah, no, I'm happy with you, Steve.
Aw.
Just Steve, huh?
Yeah, wow. Jeez, Tony,
you missed what I said earlier. Whatever. I'm not going to get into them.
Tony, your nose is bleeding. Candace just landed a left hook. I don't know. I've definitely spent a lot of time in my life thinking about the grass is greener. I mean, make no mistake. It's absolutely, the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. That doesn't mean it's better for you. But I mean, I came to accept a long time ago. I'll look around at anything and go, oh, man, that's way better. Even though I know it's probably not, but I'll still sit there and think about it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I could totally get into that.
It's worth a peek.
Yeah. I mean, I when I was asked to come up here, I was in Nashville, great city, and I was like, oh, Minneapolis is so cool, man. That's always been the cool place. So far, so good. But I might wake up tomorrow and be like, what the hell was I thinking?
Yeah,
the grass isn't greener. It's greener because they painted it. It was all a hoax. I wanted snow. I wanted winter. What did I get? February, spring.
Yeah.
No, probably not.
I'm not really happy with you anymore. I'm changing my mind.
Oh, come on. Come on. No, I'm just curious about, like, it's interesting to me, like, the idea that everybody, I used to think I was the only guy constantly looking around. And again, I'm not looking for new gigs. I'm not looking over, I haven't had a long-term sense of inadequacy or this is miserable or any of that. But I think I've just spent my whole life. I mean, I'm a bit of a dreamer, sure. Sit around and think about things. What bizarre possibility can I manifest today? I mean, I've been doing that crap forever. And way more often than not, nothing comes of it. I mean, a few things hit and you feel pretty good about it. But I just thought that was me sitting around thinking, I don't know. I get a little boxed in. When I was a kid, you got a job, you stayed with that job forever. When my kids were kids, when my son was 6 years old, a teacher at his school said, by the time he graduates high school, his generation will be the kind of people that have 6 or 7 different jobs in a career. And back then, this was in 2006, and she said, and half those jobs don't even exist yet because of how quickly tech was advancing and how rapidly the workplace was evolving. 20 years ago, they were all going, oh, yeah, no, it's going to be, and they're completely right. I mean, you look around at, like, my kids are both in college. When they get out of school, what's going to be in front of them? Jobs that didn't exist 20 years ago by the thousands. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But we're all cool, right? We're good?
Yeah. No, I just think, a job is what you make of it, I mean, it's real easy to sit there through the grind each and every day and go, God, it'd be better somewhere else. But you're right. It never is. You get to the other side and it's just more grass, I guess.
Yeah, so grass is grass. I mean, and if you're a cow, great. Otherwise, it's just grass,
Yeah, smoke it.
It could always be worse. I know this. Every job I've ever had could have been a lot worse. I was in a band for almost 30 years, really dysfunctional band. That's hardly a secret. And everybody played their own part in that along the way. But, when you put a bunch of young, really ambitious, really talented, really arrogant, really smart, but no worldwide wisdom, so basically functional idiots, when you put them all in a bus and send them out on the road and it works, it's a recipe for disaster because you're telling a bunch of incomplete humans, you're right. That's the story of just about every rock band ever, right? If you have early success. And it usually leads to a lot of malfeasance and dysfunction and really, really horrible treatment of each other because you eventually, when the world accepts you, all you can turn on is each other. It's a weird thing. Bands are just rabid packs of dogs. That's at the end of the day. There's a new story about band dysfunction. I do believe, correct me if I'm wrong, this might be an all-timer. This might literally take the cake for the most bat crap crazy thing I've ever heard.
There's your tease. Yeah, hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Tuesday, February 27th. Aerosmith walked this way. Aerosmith, a tremendously dysfunctional band for many, many, many years. The Toxic Twins, 2 of the 5 members, but behind the scenes, that band has had so many things going on. Most bands are amorphous beings. They're amoebas. They constantly shift shapes. You have alliances and friendships and bonds that break and shatter over the course of a day, hour by hour. It's 3 versus 2. It's 4 versus 1. It's 1 versus 5. I mean, it's just nonstop. This is the stuff that makes bands great. Chemistry is wonderful on stage and in the studio, and that same chemistry can destroy bands elsewhere. I mean, we've all heard the stories. This is nothing new that I'm talking about. I've experienced it myself. I wrote a book about my band. It's called The Life and Death of the Black Crowes. And by the way, that's a figurative term. I wrote that book knowing full well the Black Crowes were going to go on tour again. The Life and Death of the Black Crowes, as I saw it, it was a different thing. That's just one example. I mean, Pink Floyd, the Ramones. Oh, yeah. The Ramones, I mean, behind the scenes. The very famous one, Van Halen, Diamond David Lee Roth, biggest frontman in the world. They fired him. Steven Tyler broke his leg, 2009 or 10, and the band auditioned new singers. I mean, it's insane. It's just that's what I mean. Like, bands are crazy, the best bands. And the bands that you think aren't crazy, I mean, the Beatles, think about like U2. When's the last time you heard about a U2 fight? Doesn't really happen. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen. Doesn't mean, what it means is they close ranks and keep it in-house. Believe me, whatever band you think are the greatest guys in the world, when it's just them in a room, there's some issues. And I understand it, and I never judge anybody for it. It's the nature of the beast. But all the bands we just named, you've heard of. If I say Van Halen had dysfunction, a million songs come to mind. If I say the Beatles, a million songs come to mind, right? I mean, this is the stuff of legend. Fleetwood Mac, I've always said they're the border collie. Yeah. They're the border collie. There's them, and then there's all the other dogs. Because you have not one but 2 couples breaking up while they're making a record, and then one of the couples breaks up, and then the one guy who's not in the couple is sleeping with one of the people in one of the couples, and then you just add mountains of cocaine and just and excess and success and everything. Again, though, this is when they're one of the biggest bands in the world. Bands usually hang tight and then they explode with insanity because the world acknowledges their genius. Yeah, however,
it's a great assessment.
However, we now have a band that no one's ever heard of who has now thrown their hat in the ring for one of the craziest stories I've ever heard. There's a band from somewhere in Tennessee. They're called Lorona. The double L-O-R-O-N-A. Lorona. I don't know if that's a word in another language.
It'd be Yarona.
Yarona. Is it Yarona? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Tony. See, this is how little I know about these guys. They're from Tennessee. They're a hardcore band. They're just getting going. I guess they've got some people who dig them. And they have parted ways with their singer, a young man named Diego. I just got to walk right into this one. This is the story. The band shared all of this on their Instagram story. That Instagram account is no longer active because of how much attention it got. Because they are, I would imagine if any band is ever trying to change their name right now, it's Yarona from Tennessee. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm not overstating how insane this is. Diego is not out of the band because of a drug addiction. He's not out of the band because he's an alcoholic. He's not out of the band because of a fist fight or musical differences. No. Diego had a big crush, major crush on one of his other bandmates. That bandmate goes by the name of Six, S-I-X-X. I guess that's a tip of the hat to Nikki Sixx.
Yeah.
Or he's just not got an original thought on what he should call himself. Either way, Diego likes Six's girl. Now, Diego thinks, I got to get this girl. Okay, this is Brian Jones, Anita Pallenberg, Keith Richards territory. We've all been here. Anita was with Keith. Anita was with Brian. Keith Richards said, "Oh, want that bird," and he took that bird. And Brian Jones, couldn't handle it. So this is what we're building up to. I mean, so you've got some comparisons. You've got a precedent in the court of rock justice. There is a precedent for this case. I want my bandmate's girl. How am I going to get her? Well, Keith Richards just wrote some great songs and was cooler. I mean, he just started acting like a pirate, and next thing you know, he's got Anita. This guy, again, Diego. Wow, he has some sort of day job in the supplement industry, and his bandmate Six is a big health nut, works out at the gym a lot. So Diego got him a compound to help him with his workouts. I imagine he told him it was some sort of a protein shake, a protein powder. It's good. Add this to your pre-workout routine. It was straight up estrogen.
Oh.
Diego was dosing his bandmate with gamma radiation levels of estrogen for months in hopes that he would force Diego into a transition, a literal physical transition. Thus, then it would be easy to emasculate him and say, "See, you need a real man, honey."
Yeah.
I'd get the girl by turning her boyfriend into a woman.
That's only going to bring them closer together. Don't you know anything about women? You've just given her the perfect girlfriend, a man that acts like a woman.
Right, their cycles will link up.
I cannot begin to imagine what. And by the way, how did the band find out this was happening? Not because of Six now having large breasts or anything like that necessarily. He does have some issues. No, because Diego got drunk and then sent a rambling text confession to his bandmates.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
This guy Six has been trying to figure out what's wrong with him. His hormonal levels are all over the place. I mean, he's literally going through a lot of issues. Thousands of dollars later, medical tests, everything, and it's like, oh, this is what's happening to me. I mean, look. The guys in Lynyrd Skynyrd famously had some issues, right? I mean, the Lynyrd Skynyrd, Leon Wilkeson, the original bassist, woke up on a tour bus one night and his throat had been slit. The only people on that bus were his bandmates and a couple crew members. He never found out who tried to kill him. That's top shelf band dysfunction. This is a whole nother. This is a reality show waiting to I didn't see Daisy Jones and the Six, but it should be Daisy Jones and the SIXX Six, and they should turn this into a story. How on earth does anybody in this band ever trust anybody in life ever again?
Right.
I mean, I suppose if you were to hit it big, you could milk it for this is, I mean, you guys got to go to work. Make this into a song or something like that. But I'm just trying to think of the effects of all this estrogen on this dude. He must have just thought he had some low T going or was feeling a little emotional. I think I would, I think I'd have to contemplate murder.
Yeah, and by the way, I don't recommend anybody murder anybody, but you have to be honest and say I gotta run it around the lap one time and just see how it feels.
In my own mind, I'd contemplate. Of course, I'd be a little emotionally unstable. My hormones would be up and down. This could have really backfired on both of them, I guess. And by the way, she's just going to end up running away with the drummer anyway, eventually. So
that's how it always works.
Oh my God!
Checking their drinks, though. That's for sure.
What's that?
They're going to be checking their drinks.
Oh my God! Yeah, make no mistake about it. I totally understand. It's not cool at all, but I understand. I mean, I don't say I understand that it makes it okay. I mean, it clicks in my head. You hear about people dosing people. I put acid in his drink.
Yeah,
I put some liquid whatever in his drink, and you're like, that's not cool. No, I look back. It was kind of a regret. This is not that. This is not I was drunk and thought it'd be cool to dose someone. This is months of, I think I've got a way to get this woman in my life.
How did he get him the estrogen?
He has a job in some supplement or healthcare industry. He was able to find and spike his like you said, the guy's going to the gym, several days a week, and he's got his powdered pre-workout regimen, and this guy's like, here, this will help. God. Llorona, I mean, literally, you have made the list. I mean, like I said, most bands hit it big and then the crazy comes out. These guys are leading with the crazy. They need a new singer.
Yeah.
I am rarely at a loss for words. I'm rarely just gobsmacked by what I see a guy in a band do. And this would be if this were Zepp, if you were doing this to me in my coffee right now.
Yeah,
I'd be a little concerned. I would be similarly speechless. But I would almost expect this more in a corporate setting than in a rock band setting. Somehow it would make more sense anywhere but in a band.
Kind of a Succession kind of thing almost. Maybe if there was a family in the corporate setting, make it really tangled up.
Exactly.
By the way, can't find one of their songs anywhere. I've been looking. There's La Llorona, which is seems to be a lovely young female singer out of Mexico.
She's going to change her name too soon. Trust me.
How's it spelled?
Get your music out there, man.
Man, the last word from Diego, the man attempting to make this happen, he did text, I was really drunk and told Six and his fiance I was obsessed with her and had a deep hatred for Six and gave Six estrogen to get the edge up on him. I've been kicked out of Llorona as well and will no longer be in the scene.
Wow.
Oh,
and scene. Exit stage left.
Is it Llorona?
What's that?
Is it Llorona? Is that how it's spelled?
The name of the band, yeah.
It's a vengeful ghost in Mexican folklore who is said to roam near bodies of water, mourning her children, whom she drowned in a jealous rage after discovering her husband was cheating on her.
Well, then this all makes perfect sense.
I was going to say, that'd only be interesting if we hadn't heard the story we just heard.
Wow. All right, fair enough.
I don't know what Mike Evans has for Hollywood.
Hopefully the rights to this movie have already been secured.
No kidding. Mike Evans is coming. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Tuesday. It is February the 27th, and it's a perfect time for the Mike Evans Hollywood Report.
Hey, good morning, Steve and Candace. Good morning, Zepp. Tony, good morning. Minneapolis, St. Paul. So I hope everybody is excited about today. Today's Tuesday, where you can see any movie for only $6. It's only at Marcus Theaters, and it is the best deal in all America. $6 for any movie at Marcus Theaters. So stay with me on this now. I love telling you about the gossip in Hollywood, but every once in a while I have to tell you about the show business of Hollywood. Now, this sounds bad, but actually for Marcus Theaters, it's actually good, but stay with me. 90% of the actors you see in movies and television shows are getting paid 40% of what they were getting for the same gigs 10 years ago. It used to be that a struggling actor in Los Angeles getting an occasional one or two lines in a movie or one or two lines in a TV show and a lot of extra work and maybe a part-time job, they'd struggle, but they could make a living while trying to make their dream come true. But with the cost of housing in Los Angeles, these people are finding it very hard to stick it out. Late Friday, very quietly, Warner Brothers stocks dropped dramatically, as did their earnings. An hour later, Paramount Studios' credit rating took a hit. Their earnings down too. Tyler Perry's movies and television shows are fabulous. They all make money. However, with movie audiences down a little and TV sponsorship way down, Tyler's decided to cancel his studio expansion. He was going to spend like $600 million expanding his studio in Los Angeles and Atlanta. Now, what this means for Marcus Theater, fewer movies, but better movies. And for $6 on Tuesday? Wow. Okay, enough of the bad news, some good news for television. So The Office had 9 great seasons on NBC. Then it had a great run streaming on Netflix. And now it's on Paramount Plus and drawing huge, huge ratings. Fabulous. Always in the top 10 of rated shows streaming on Paramount Plus since they joined. The Paramount Plus also has formally given Frasier a reboot, the second season. The Frasier reboot first season I didn't think was all that good, but apparently there's an audience. And no surprise, HBO has renewed True Detective. What a great show that is. You got to check it out. But I saved the best for last. Kevin Costner left Yellowstone to make his dream of dreams come true. It's a 4-part, 4 full features, 4 full movies called The American Saga, Horizon, a true look at America after the Civil War. Part 1 is 2 hours, 22 minutes long. It'll be in theaters, Marcus Theater, on June 28th. The second part of the 4-part movie series is due for release August 28th. The final 2 parts will be released in theaters only sometime next year. And over 50 stars have signed up to be a part of this, what is going to be just a classic. Hey, have a great day. Talk to you tomorrow. Mike Evans, see ya.
There's the Mike Evans Hollywood Report for February 27th. Quick note for the weekend ahead in the Twin Cities. I would be remiss if I didn't say Saturday night at the Turf Club in St. Paul, a band called Illiterate Light is playing. They are phenomenal. I'm just saying, if you want to go see a great young rock band, for everyone who says rock is dead, no. I'm giving you my most heartfelt recommendation. Go see Illiterate Light. Let's have ourselves a quick sports and music history lesson.
Sorry about that little indulgence. That was Edina's Concord Elementary Concert, 5th grader August Lee on trombone from last night.
Nice!
Special mix.
I had to figure there was something happening there.
We were listening to that earlier, Steve, and I was
Special.
I thought the marching band was practicing for the Gophers.
That's good stuff right there.
Sure.
February 27th, 1982. The smooth left-hander from Dublin, California, Earl Anthony, became the first man to win $1 million on the Pro Bowlers Tour on this day in 1982. At the Toledo Trust PBA National Championship, he had 5 straight strikes in the middle of a game to beat Charlie Tapp of St. Paul, Minnesota for that title. I was in high school, and shortly after this, Earl Anthony won the Miller Open, the Miller High Life Open. He won $100,000 and 100 cases of the champagne of beers. Earl Anthony didn't drink, but my dad did, and my dad worked for his bowling ball company, Ebonite, and I was cutting the grass one day, minding my own business, when a Miller truck backed up the driveway.
Wow.
And I ran inside and went, Dad, there's a beer truck in the driveway. And the man dropped 100 cases of High Life in the carport.
Oh.
And I'm in high school, my brother's in high school, my other brother's in college, and we all just stared at it going, oh my God. And my dad said, don't you even think about it. A mountain of beer. My brother, who was a freshman in college, showed up 6 hours later with a friend with a giant, like, Vista Cruiser station wagon. And they put so much beer into this car. You've never seen anything like it in your life.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Good morning, Tuesday, February 27th. An hour from now, we're going to give away some Peter Frampton tickets. He's playing in town April 1st, and we'll have 2 golden tickets for you. That is a little less than an hour from now. Stay tuned. We'll let you know how and when you can try to win those bad boys. There is a band from Tennessee no one's ever heard of until right now. They're called Llorona, L-L-O-R-O-N-A. You can Google that name if you like. I have a feeling next time they play a gig, they'll be under a different name. They have parted ways with their singer in what is the wildest story I've heard in years. It's a story that's, in any context, in any setting, in any workplace, this would be phenomenally bizarre. And it would be getting a lot of attention. The fact that it's in a rock band makes it even that much weirder. Long story short, singer in the band decides he wants to take a shot at his guitarist's girlfriend. You got the singer, got another guy in the band. The other guy in the band's girlfriend looks pretty good to the singer. The singer says, I want her. I'm going to make her mine. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't go around, trying to figure out how do I impress her. What he thinks I'm going to do is I'm going to mess up her boyfriend so badly that she'll have to come crawling to me. I'm going to emasculate him. Literally. He starts spiking. Okay, so here it is. The guitarist or bassist, whatever the other guy does in the band, we're actually not sure. Yeah. His name is Six. Let's just call him Six because that's his name. Six loves to work out. Six goes to the gym a lot. Six has a pre-workout routine where he puts some powdered drinks together or, he has a whole fitness regimen. The singer, whose name is Diego, works a day job in a fitness or otherwise health industry job where he has access to a whole lot of estrogen. And he started spiking his bandmates' pre-workout drink, his powder with estrogen. He literally did it for 5 months. He caused the guy a lot of damage. Yeah. His hormones are in flux. He's having an unintentional hormonal transition, literally. And then the band had no idea this was happening. Again, the reason for this, he thought, well, if I turn him into a woman, his girlfriend will need a new man. That's literally what the thinking was. Yeah.
First of all, give him testosterone. This metal moron doesn't know anything about women. First of all, you're the lead singer in a band. You're halfway there to getting a woman. I assume the reason half the guys climb up on stage there, write her a song or something, or give him some testosterone and make him go totally toxic male. Yeah. All you're doing is bringing them together. Now Six and his fiance, it says fiance in this story, now they're, crying at chick flicks and they're talking about their feelings. You're only bringing them closer together, Diego.
Diego, not the brightest bulb on the rock tree. No. This is for sure. To your point, dose him with testosterone. He'll be the most obnoxious, total turnoff to the woman that knows him now. So anyway, by the way, nobody would have figured this out had Diego not gotten drunk and texted the band, oh, sorry, I've been spiking Six's drink with estrogen for 5 months trying to get the edge on his woman. So they've parted ways, right? They have parted ways with their singer. And I have to imagine, as I said, the next time this band performs, I got to think they're going to have a different name. And the band, again, the band's name is Llorona, which is, what was it, Tony? It was some sort of a
Llorona, a vengeful ghost in Mexican folklore, said to roam near bodies of water, mourning her children, whom she drowned in a jealous rage after discovering her husband was cheating on her.
Yeah,
okay. It's lovely.
I wonder if they knew that when they chose that name. I wonder if it's like just because that's the name of your band doesn't mean you got to go all schizo and act like that. But, it's funny because here's the thing about bands, though. Okay, imagine that we do this show 5 days a week, right? We get here in the morning. We're together for 5 hours a day. 4 of those hours are on the air. And then we communicate the rest of the day because we're talking about tomorrow's show or we're going to have a guest next week. There's a lot of – it goes on throughout the whole day. Now imagine if every night, instead of going to our own homes, we all got on the same bus and went to another town and did it all again tomorrow. And then after that, got on the same bus and drove to the next town. And what if you did that for months on end? Wow. That's a band. Okay?
Yeah.
You don't get away from each other. And the more successful you are and the more you start touring, at least in the early years, like literally whatever job you have, imagine never getting away from those people ever and then getting on a moving vehicle to go do it again somewhere else tomorrow. That's the reality of being in a band. You can drive your coworkers crazy real fast in bands. It's just like a regular job, but on steroids or on estrogen, is the case maybe for this band. But I always used to say, like in my former band, we would have arguments. What should the next single be would be every bit as charged as what should we get for lunch tomorrow. Because you lose all perspective on the importance of certain decisions. Everything is a fight. Not a single argument's ever fully resolved, so it never ends, and it just leads to tomorrow's annoyance. It just goes on and on and on and on. And I will say this: one of the things that saved our band was the invention of the iPod. Suddenly, there was like a new reason. Walkmen were kind of over, but then all of a sudden, everyone had all their own music and a headset, and it just, we can all just get away from each other. We can just put these things on. And I've talked to a lot of people. Trust me, touring bands were like, when they got all the music they ever needed in their pocket with a set of headphones, everybody got along so much better because that ended all the fights over the bus stereo.
Right. Well, and I heard that, when bands got really big, they just started traveling separately. I know a lot of big bands that we've interviewed over the years, and he came into town on Saturday, travel. The Stones travel separately. Sometimes Charlie used to travel with Mick or whatever, but they travel, not only travel separately, but stay in separate places, and that's how you get it done over a period of time, I guess.
If you can afford to do that, that's a pretty great way to go. Metallica, right. when I know Metallica, that's four guys in the band, and when the bassist Robert Trujillo joined like 20 years ago, at the time the band it was a 4-man band with 3 private planes. And so the bass player just rotated who he rode with. But the other 3 guys have their own planes. And they would do a tour in Europe, and they would just play weekends, and they only saw each other at the gigs. But they got along great. I mean, that's just kind of what you have to do because, again, we all get along here, but imagine if we never, ever got away. For 8-10 months at a time, we just did the show and then got on a bus and just rode for 10 hours to the next place to then do the show again tomorrow. Getting your own space becomes the most important part of being in a band.
I suppose when you start out, not having that space is almost probably necessary for the band to bond and create some art, some music. I mean, you've got to all be sleeping in a living room of someone else's house and then spending all the time in that van and that bus. But that's the thing that makes you is the thing that breaks you. Yeah, well, you have to establish that chemistry. You've got to be able to finish each other's sentences and thoughts, and you develop your own shorthand creatively, certainly. Nobody in any band I've ever been in is like a music scholar. You don't say, go from the sustained 7th down 3 keys down to you just go hit the thing and do the thing like the other song and then double that up and cut that in half and then pause, hit the diamond and, I don't know, like a 2 count and then go into and every band has their own language. And you all understand what each other's saying. So, the early years where you're just crammed together. I mean, the Beatles are still the most famous example. They just went to Hamburg 7 hours a night, 7 nights a week for months on end. Anybody that comes out of that's just going to be pretty great, and they're going to understand each other so deeply on such a level. But then at some point, as you start to hopefully grow up and mature, you recognize, okay, that chemistry's there. That's not going away. What's got to happen is we've got to get away from each other so that for the other 21 hours in the day, we're not just completely sick of each other. In any sort of job, you do have to be aware of your coworkers' needs or wants or the things that just drive them crazy. I mean, in any job you've ever had, have you ever worked with someone who just smells bad? Yeah.
And like continually, and you're like, even if you've mentioned, like to the point where you might go, hey, man, he's kind of close quarters here. Just maybe work on that. It starts to. I have a real thing with smells. I'm pretty sensitive to them actually. And when I'm around people that just do not want to ever get clean, it doesn't last long. It's tough.
If I say no, does that mean it's me?
Possibly. Possibly.
Shoot.
Well, no, I'll say this, Candace. We've been working together for 13 months, and there's only been 2 days where I was like, girl, my God, get outside.
Those 2 days were horrible.
Yeah, the worst.
I never thought I'd have to say, where's the hose at a radio station, but it happened.
It was laundry day.
It was laundry day, I know. But it's an important thing. You got to be aware of these things. But the smell is one that's usually the first thing because it's so rare. It's not that it happens all the time. And other people just have tics. I worked with a guy once, and he just touched stuff all the time. Just had to had no idea that when he was doing it, but he would you'd set your coffee mug down, and it would be, but if it was empty, then you just look over, and he would just a quick dart of his hand, it was like a frog's tongue, whoop, real fast. He would just get his fingertip to stuff.
Touched
everything.
This is so petty, but I had a cube job where I worked in a cube for 3 months, and the guy on the other side of my wall there at the cube to my right must have eaten like a dozen apples a day. He ate very crunchy apples all day long. No. How healthy of him. I remember bringing him just like a gallon of apple juice one day. I'm like, here, try drinking it and don't slurp. But it just all day long, crunch. That's
He'd never cut it up, just eat the full apple.
No, he just, ate and he ate, by the way, I don't know why this bothered me, but he also ate the core of the apple, the whole apple.
I saw a thing,
but I didn't like being in a cube, so I probably sat down a little rankled anyway, That's
part of it too. But no, if I had to listen to a guy, I love apples, but if I listened to a guy just eat apples throughout the day, I'd go midway through the second day, and I'd go, hey man, seriously?
Yeah.
There's nothing else you can do? Just apple juice ain't gonna cut it?
Yeah, we had a lady in that same office. What a terrible place. We would go around to stores and do inventory for them. And I was constantly volunteering to go into the field. I'd rather stand in a Walgreens somewhere counting pill bottles than be in an office situation. I'm just not wired for it. But her niece passed away like 4 years ago. But every day she talked about her niece. I could only, whip up some compassion for about the first 3 weeks. And then after a while, I'm like, are you sure she's dead? Maybe she just faked it and left you. Oof. I don't know, right?
At some point, yeah, you do have that. There has to be the boundaries, And again, that's where with bands, if you don't respect those boundaries, it just goes straight to hell in a handbasket. That's why you have separate buses and separate planes and separate hotels. Huge understanding of someone who's lost someone they care about, but eventually, but it's like church and state. When you blend them, it weakens both. It gets in the way of both. Like nothing messes up church more than bringing politics, and nothing messes up politics more than bringing church. Like they're both on their own. And grief, my God, losing family members, that's for your time. It's not for office time. Give yourself a break. Yeah, that's tough. I'm not judging. I'm just saying, like, there's a reason that people talk about boundaries. It's because what do they say? Fences make great neighbors. It's pretty simple.
And I never confronted her about it, but you knew it was coming up. It would kind of drive me a little bit crazy. I'm on the KQRS Facebook post. What bad habits do your coworkers have that drive you crazy? Or maybe you have one, 651-989-ROCK. That's the talk and text line. Or, like I said, the KQ Facebook post. The guy who sits behind me constantly chews ice. That's the Apple guy. I'm right there with you, Michelle. The guy chewing ice. Isn't that an iron deficiency?
No, you know what? I worked years ago, and I actually worked with and my roommate. We worked together. He was like a manager, and I was like an underling. But I rented the upstairs of his house, and he crunched ice all the time. All the time. And then at the time, my platonic friend Rosemary mentioned to him she'd seen a thing that men who chew ice are sexually frustrated. Ended it immediately. Seriously, he was like, "Oh, you really? Huh?" And we laughed about it, whatever. And then the next day, I noticed that sucker hadn't gone anywhere near his ice because he could not admit maybe there was a little problem going on there.
I worked with a fella who would take his shoes and his socks off and trim his toenails at work.
Oh no,
At work.
no.
Clip
No,
away.
that's where I can get really direct really fast. If you're talking about a deceased family member over a long period of time, that's one thing. You've got to kind of swallow it there. But if you're clipping your toenails on the job, guess who's going to get right in your face about that? This guy right here.
Oh, boy.
Oh, man.
Oh, boy.
All right, well, we have Frampton tickets at 8 o'clock, but we're going to bitch about our coworkers a little bit. Past coworkers, nothing's going to get you into any trouble. On the KQ Facebook page, a lot of talking. That is my big pet peeve, and we do it. We just BS for a living. But as soon as the show's over, when you've got to get something done, I don't know, some piece of paperwork or a commercial or something, and the salesperson that comes by that has 7 hours to kill today and just wants to chat up the weather for 40 minutes, that one will drive me crazy. Let's hear from you this morning, 651-989-ROCK on the Talk and Text line, or get on the KQ Facebook page and hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Tuesday, February the 27th. About 30 minutes from now, we're giving away tickets to see Pete, as I call him, Pete Frampton. What? How weird is that? Pete Frampton sounds like a plumber. Peter Frampton sounds like a rock star.
Pete.
Yeah, I'm saying, no, Pete's a good lad. Came over, did the septic tank over, and you was all flowing again, wasn't it? Pete Frampton, plumbing. Peter Frampton, rock star. It's weird, just the difference one letter makes on a name.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, Steve.
I mean, he looks more like
Gorman.
a plumber than a rock star these days.
I'm sorry, what was that, Candace?
Oh, nothing. I was just making fun of your name. Stephen Gorman.
Yeah, it doesn't sound right. That sounds like, just Stephen Gorman. He's like an orthopedic surgeon. Something like that. We're talking about coworkers and the fact that some of them are kind of annoying. Not as annoying as the guy in a band in Tennessee who spiked his bandmates' pre-workout routine drinks with estrogen for months in an attempt to lure away the guy's girlfriend. That's a little bit more than annoying. But on the KQRS Facebook page, a lot of posts. I'm going to single out, Krista wrote, I'm really shy and quiet at work. I don't know my coworkers very well. They all probably think I'm a major B. Bitch. No, they don't. You know what? I bet they're just appreciative of the fact that you're not chomping ice and eating apples all day long and yapping on the cell phone, which is another common complaint. Everyone yapping. No. You're not a major B. Trust me. The quiet person in the corner just going about and doing their job, I'm always appreciative. Thanks. Let me do all the talking. You just stay quiet over there.
Silence is
really
golden.
It doesn't hurt. It doesn't suck. Candace, the KQ Talk and Text line, 651-989-ROCK. I believe we have a caller.
Yeah, David from Chanhassen.
David, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
What's on your mind, brother?
Well, I was a police officer down at the University of Minnesota for 21 years until I got injured in line of duty. But when I used to train young officers as an FTO officer, I would have them go down to a place called Harvard Market, tell them to go inside and buy themselves a pack of gum and a cigarette lighter. They'd get back in the car. I'd be sitting in the passenger seat. They'd kind of look at me, what's this for? Like they were buying it for me. I said, well, nobody ever told you. I said, your breath is terrible. I said, when you're working law enforcement, you're going to be pretty close to people. They're going to cringe. I said, so the gum is for you.
Yeah.
So start working on it. I said, the cigarette lighter, if I'm sitting in the passenger seat here and I start lighting this lighter, it means get a fire under your ass because you're not doing nothing and start looking. So that's what I used to do.
That's pretty great.
Partner.
I'm sure the young guys were like, I can't believe that guy with the gum and lighter trick, but I like that. That's solid right there.
Well, they would look out the corner of their eye to the right as I'm start bringing the lighter up, and they're just like nervous as heck waiting for me to light it.
That's great. That's great. 21 years on the job, man. How you feeling now? You okay?
Yeah, pretty good. I shattered my right elbow on a chase, but
man,
got back in use, but too much damage to keep doing the job.
I understand. Well, thanks for your service, my man, and thank you for the call.
All right, thank you, sir.
You got it. Ooh, man. I the chasing a guy and you smash your arm like that.
They would hike.
Yeah.
I chased a guy down once. I assisted in an arrest once. I literally chased a guy down and tackled him in a muddy field. I don't know what got into me. There was a police chase on foot, and the guy eluded, knocked the cop over, and was making a break for it. And I tracked him. I tackled the guy like Lawrence Taylor.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, in college. And smashed him over the head with my roommate's umbrella before I tackled him and just ruined a beautiful umbrella.
Oh, man, did you?
Yeah, truly. Yeah, it was raining. It was a Sunday night. I'm leaving the dorm room, and I said, "Hey, man, can I use your umbrella?" The guy goes, "No, man, it's like it's really nice." I go, "Well, I'm not what am I going to do to it?" I said, "What am I going to do to it?"
It's going to happen.
And I brought it back, and it was just bent completely like the letter L. I'm like, sorry.
I hope it was murder or something. I hope the guy wasn't, like shoplifting.
No, you know what? Completely, I don't mean to get off on a long-winded tangent. It was midnight. I'm walking across campus, and I see a guy running across a field, just running. Not very fast, kind of out of shape. And then about 30 yards behind him, I see a guy chasing him, clearly. And that guy is holding a gun. And I'm like, what's happening here?
Yeah, bullets go faster. Shoot the gun.
And then they run past me, and then I am curious, and I kind of keep following. They go around the side of a building. I walk around, and the guy with the gun looks at me. He says, "I'm Bowling Green Police. This is in Kentucky." He says, "Did you see where he went?" And I said, "I think he's in those bushes." And runs into these big, giant, like, fir trees and shrubs and comes out holding the guy, got him by his collar. He's literally, he holsters his gun. He's got the guy. They're both completely winded and out of breath. I mean, neither one of them can barely breathe. It was the slowest on-foot chase you've ever seen. Two men, middle-aged guys. They start talking, communicating. I'm just standing there going, this is really weird. And they're both like, I mean, they can barely get words out. They have the guy who's on the run, the convict, the bad guy, literally at some point, the cop is leaning against a railing. There's a rail there. It's like waist high. And he's leaning up against it to just catch his breath. And then the bad guy stands up and pushes the cop over it. He literally pushes him back over this railing. He flips backwards and falls into the grass. And the guy turns off and starts running again. And the cop is like, "Gah!" And he can't even move. He's just totally out of breath. And the guy's running through a field right across a big yard, and he's going to hit the street. And as soon as he hits the street, he's off campus and he's in a neighborhood. And I assess all this, and I'm thinking I should probably do something. I guess. I mean, yeah. And so I do. I take off running after this guy, and I catch him immediately because he's completely out of breath. He's been running for what feels like 6 hours, apparently. And I run right up behind him, and the guy goes, "Leave me alone." And I said, "No, stop running." I'm running right behind him, and we're talking. And he literally says, this guy literally says, "Don't hit me with that umbrella." It's just... And I went, "Oh, that's a good idea."
Yeah.
And I had this umbrella folded up like a golf umbrella, like a large umbrella. And so I just rip it over his head, just completely destroying the umbrella. And he just screams and says, "Leave me alone," again. And he's just still running. And I'm like, I guess I just got to tackle him. And I just step off I do my paces. I never played football, but for one shining minute, I'm a middle linebacker. And I just jumped on his back and rode him right into a mud puddle. And then he's trying to roll over, but he was so tired and out of shape and out of breath. And he rolled over onto his back, and I'm literally sitting on top of him, like knees. My knees are in his chest, and I'm saying, "Just stay there." And the cop comes up behind me, and over my shoulder has the gun, and he puts it right in the guy's face and pulls the hammer back and says, Go ahead, get up, give me a reason to do this." And that's when I went, "Oh, we have elevated this to a whole place.
Yeah,
I don't know why I'm
Gone
involved
dirty
in this at
Harry.
all." Yeah. And I rolled off of him, and then the campus police had showed up, and then all of a sudden I'm surrounded by cops, and the detective was so embarrassed about it, but they talked to me. I gave a statement. Anyway, the whole thing ends, and I'm just like, what the hell is wrong with me? Why would I get involved in that? But I did, whatever.
Caught up in the moment,
Yeah.
But you did point out a pet peeve of mine in television shows and movies, and that's after a big chase, the cop and the perpetrator are standing, he's cuffing him, and I told you, and he's reading him his Miranda rights. I'm like, no. Anyone who's ever been in a little chase or even a scrum, people are like, these fights that last forever, that's not how it it is in real life. A fight lasts for about 60 seconds, and then you're both too gassed to throw another punch.
These two guys, I could not overemphasize how out of breath they were, and they were just beside themselves with exhaustion. And they had been running. I found out later that this thing had been going on, but it was well under a mile total. But it's late at night. They're wearing street clothes, and neither one of them runs much. I mean, okay, sure. But you said you hope and I was thinking too, like, man, what if this guy was like a serial killer? What if this guy's like a rapist? What if this guy credit card fraud? That's what he was. That's what he was in the joint for. He'd been released on bail, and then the cop got a hot tip that he was going to leave town, and he was going to meet in the parking lot of the football stadium at midnight, and he was getting picked up. That's what the cop told me. So they were waiting for him, and someone drops him off, and another car pulls up to pick him up, and then the cop goes, "Freeze!" and the guy took off running, so the cop had to chase him.
Oh, it's on.
And it was on, in slow motion. But anyway, all that so then I walk back into my dorm room at midnight. I'm wet. I'm just covered in mud, and this umbrella is just destroyed. And my roommate just looks at me. He's like, "What?" I'm like, "Man, I tell him the whole story, and he's like, "I don't believe a word you just said."
Yeah, of course not.
You think I've made this up to explain how I broke an umbrella?
Yeah.
Oh, well, what are you going to do? And by the way, speaking of arrests and speaking of what not to do, if you have to insert yourself into another arrest, I just suffice to say, I understand. I don't condone it. I don't necessarily recommend it because 9 times out of 10, you're just going to get in the way of the cop doing their job.
Yeah.
But, every now and again it works out. Here's something definitely not to do if you are the one being arrested. In Las Vegas, there was a call about a domestic disturbance. Police arrived on the scene, and they saw a man leaving a scene. He jumped into a car and took off, driving very aggressively. They chase him. They pull him over. It's a guy named Frank. He's speeding. He's driving aggressively, running stop signs, etc. They finally get him to pull over. He's on a revoked license. He has bloodshot eyes. His speech is slurring, and he reeks of alcohol. And the police put 2 and 2 together and come up with this guy's probably tanked. He refuses to take a breathalyzer, so they place him under arrest. And they obtain a search warrant for the blood test. As he's being transported to the police station, he's threatening to kick out the windows of the patrol car. He says, "As soon as you take these cuffs off me, I'm breaking your face." He's threatening the police officers the whole way. While being led into the station, and apparently he was able to do this. I guess he was uncuffed. He unzipped his pants and peed right on the officer's leg.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, facing multiple charges. There's DUI, driving with a revoked license, and yes, urinating on a police officer.
Now that's on the books.
I gotta say, if you're dumb enough to still be driving drunk in a world of rideshare age companies all ready to pick you up at all times, the default position needs to just be right. You just apologize, especially if you're that drunk. You just immediately say, "What can I do to make this better? How can I make it up to you?" The cops will then tell you too late. What's done is done. You're driving drunk. Then you pee on the cop, but you got to at least try to make it better, right? I mean,
come with a little sugar before you come with the urine, right?
I'm just saying that's how my drunken brain would operate. I'd be like, I think I can get out of this. I think I can make it better. And then but at least try.
Yeah.
Straight to threats and peeing on a cop? Come on, man.
Must have been really drunk.
Must have been, or just, you know what? It must have been really drunk, really is stupid, regardless.
Oh, wow.
Just establishing his territory. This is my cop.
I think I'd have a little stage fright. I'd be like, and then it would be awkward. What are you doing with your wiener? I'm trying to pee on you. Can you look the other way? Just look over there. I'm trying to pee here.
That would be one of the most awkward pauses in the conversation history, which is, what are you doing? And the answer is, I'm trying to pee on you.
Pee on you, yeah.
That's a minute.
Give me a second here.
Yeah, that's a wild one right there.
No good.
We had a call a minute ago from a guy who said he was a campus police at University of Minnesota for 21 years.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the way it is here, but back in where I went to college, campus cops were full-on state police. They had jurisdiction off campus as well. They just happened to be assigned to the campus police department. And, of course, every year you would hear tales of college students who just didn't assume that was true. Because someone's always drunk, and you see a campus cop, and what you think is, well, I'll just run off campus, and what are you going to do then? I love that. I love the idea of. I got pulled over. I got a speeding ticket a few years ago in Virginia, and as the cop jumps out, the state trooper sees me. I'm less than a mile from the Tennessee state line, and it went through my mind: can he come into Tennessee?
I don't know how that works across state, but you remember the Dukes of Hazzard? They were always trying to get across the county line.
Sure.
So that Roscoe couldn't bust them, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No, that's not the case. As we found out in South Dakota, getting across the county line, no, they can come across the county line and bust you.
Yeah.
I don't know about how that state line stuff works, however, but
I was thinking
I'm sure
to
they
myself,
can probably come over and bust you, but then they have to contact the other state or whatever. I don't think it's like it is in the movies.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. At the very least, they would have my plate number. They would call ahead, make sure somebody's there. But then I thought, no, they'd probably just pull me over, but then have to have a Tennessee state trooper come and give me the ticket or whatever it was. But suffice to say, I don't see myself as a criminal mastermind, but it occurred to me. I mean, I'm driving because you're like, oh man, that guy just popped out of the trees. I didn't see him, and I knew I'd been speeding. And I'm like, damn. And I'm going to pull over. I'm going to take my ticket, and I've had a few speeding tickets on the highways over the years. And I always just go, hey, my bad. Yep, I was speeding. You got me. I'm not about to try to argue it. But there was that thing. I'm like, I am less than a mile from another state. Right. Maybe.
Yeah.
Cross my
they
mind.
just come screeching up to the border and they jump out and like, no, and throw their hat on the ground and like, you got away with it. And maybe you could just stand over there on the other side of the state line and mock them a little bit. No, I don't think it works like that. I think they figured their way out around that one, probably because of the Dukes of Hazzard.
And you know what happened when the guy pulled me over? And I probably told this story. He came up and he asked for my license. I handed it to him. And he looked at it and he goes, oh, Steve Gorman, I listen to your show every night at work.
Oh, yeah. I had a cop call the request line once and say, hey, I just want to let you know you were going kind of fast this morning, but since I really like the show, I'll let it slide. But he ran my plates and he's like, oh, that's just Candace, just trying to get to work, do her duty.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's great and kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy said, hey, I listen to your show every night. You're on Tri-Cities. It's East Tennessee, Southwestern Virginia station down there, my syndicated show. And I was like, oh, great, man. Yeah, thanks. He goes, oh, yeah, you used to be in Black Crowes. Yeah, I was in the Black Crowes for a long time. Man, I love that band. Saw you guys once. Oh, that's awesome. He goes, yeah, hang on. I'll be right back. He goes back to his car. And I assume all he's doing is making sure there's no outstanding warrants. And he walks back up a few minutes later and goes, all right, Mr. Gorman, listen, it's a pleasure to meet you. Here's your ticket. I was like, oh come on.
After all that.
He got me a ticket, yeah.
You were courting me.
Not only did I get the ticket after that, some nice comments about, love the show. Oh, that sounds good. Got the ticket. And then I thought, someone told me, if you go to traffic court and fight that, the police officer never shows up and the judge will often drop it, which is also BS, it turns out.
Yeah.
And, and the police officer did show up and I was ticketed. I did have to pay the fine, but I didn't get out of anything.
You know what? I had the same comment. I got my first ticket I ever got. I was a senior in high school, and it was a nighttime downtown in the little town I lived in, and I was approaching a red light, and it was snowing really hard. Or I was approaching a green light, and then it turned yellow. And as I tapped the brakes, I started to slide a little bit. And I could immediately assess the situation, which was there's no other cars anywhere near me, no other cars at the intersection. So I let off the brake, regained control of the car, and just went straight through the light, which by the time I entered it was red. But there was no other traffic. And there was a cop parked across the street in the library parking lot who saw me do that, and he pulled me over. And I tried to explain to him. I go, hey, man, I didn't run the red light on purpose. I started to slide, and I knew there was no one else here, and I figured that was a safer thing.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to hear a 17-year-old kid explain that to him, so he gives me the ticket. I told one of my teachers at school the next day, he goes, go to court. That cop probably won't even be there, and he won't remember what happened if he is. Because it was like a month later. I go to court. Cop does show up. He tells his story, and he says he was actually at the light. And I got up there, and I said, Judge, no, he was not at the light. He was in the library parking lot. He was probably 50 yards away, and he came out of the parking lot. The reason I got all the way to the top of the hill before he pulled me over was because he had to drive all that way to come out, and we were driving. I had the whole thing down. And the judge just looked at me and was like, okay, well, sorry, got to pay your fine. And I was like, well, I mean, I couldn't believe it. I did the whole, I was indignant. I was like, suddenly I'm holding coffee and I'm like, well, this is phony. Judge looked at me, he's like, Mr. Gorman, I'm not going to, and I was like, oh, wait, hold on.
Yeah,
I'm in court.
right, no.
I should shut the hell up and go pay the fine.
Yeah, they win.
The system was out to get me that day.
You fought the law, but the law won,
Damn
man.
straight. Learned it early.
All right. Right now on the KQ92 Talking text line. Oh, you got to bring it this morning. Sales pitch this morning. Not some trivia, not multiple choice. We'll take 2 callers, 9 and 2, 651-989-ROCK. We'll need your sales pitch today, your best one, for tickets to Peter Frampton, Monday, April 1st at the State Theater. No fooling, Candace. Prize provided by Jam Productions. Our runner-up today, not bad, Ricky Medlock. Friday at the Medina. Prize provided by the Medina. 651-989-ROCK. Dial up. Good luck and hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Tuesday, February 27th. We just heard Paul McCartney's Live and Let Die. Here's a weird, quick story. Paul McCartney's former bandmate in the Beatles, John Lennon. I'm sure you have a passing familiarity with the work those two men put together over the many years. A bullet fired from the gun that killed John Lennon will be auctioned in Newcastle, England on Thursday.
Oh, that's creepy.
Here's the thing. It's not. I don't think it's one of the bullets that hit John Lennon. It's just a bullet that's fired from the same gun. And for some reason, people will want to have that bullet.
Did they do like a ballistic test or something?
BBC reports the bullet was given to a police officer from Northumbria by New York Police Department after they allowed him to shoot the gun on a visit to the department. So a cop from England went to New York City, was visiting with police department guys there, and then they said, oh, by the way, here's the gun that killed John Lennon. And the guy goes, how could I take a shot of that? And he shot a bullet. They recovered the bullet. The guy took it home like a souvenir, and now it's going up for auction. Wow. Why? Who would pay money for that?
Well, macabre memorabilia. There's a market for it out there.
So.
I know I've talked about it before. People want, toe tags from the morgue of infamous people that were killed. John Dillinger's toe tag went for thousands of dollars, that kind of thing,
Crazy.
So, yeah, there's a collector's market for everything. Last thing I'd want is a bullet fired from the gun that John Lennon shot, but unless someone gave it to me, it was worth a lot of money, but that would just be for value alone.
Sure.
Yeah, that's creepy.
So Peter Frampton is now a nominee for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for the first time, which is kind of astounding to think it's taken this long for the Hall of Fame to come around and go, oh yeah, Peter Frampton, that guy that dominated the 70s. First in a band, Humble Pie, where he was not the main guy. Steve Marriott was the voice and face of Humble Pie. But he left Humble Pie, released a few albums on his own, and people liked them. But then it was the live album, Frampton Comes Alive, that exploded and made him a global icon. And the guy has been playing great guitar now. I mean, he's just spectacular player, a very unique cat. If Peter Frampton plugs in a guitar and starts to play it, you go, oh, I know who that is. That's Peter Frampton. Literally, to me, one of the signature guitarists of rock history. He is playing the State Theater on April the 1st. And, oh, baby, we've got some tickets to give away. So we're going to have a couple callers, couple listeners compete to see who gets the Peter Frampton tickets. We have a runner-up prize, and that's tickets to see the Ricky Medlock Band this Friday night at Medina. Tony, today's game is what, sir?
We're going to turn this over to our so-talented listeners.
Always be closing. Always be closing.
What are you selling?
Okay, what are you selling?
That was my sales pitch.
Really? That's your sales pitch?
So this is your sales pitch?
Here's the pitch.
Yep, sales pitch. We're going to test your powers of persuasion, your sales skills. We're going to give you something, a concept, an idea, a thing, anything at all, and you have to sell us on it. The benefits, why it's a good thing, kind of like Shark Tank. We're going to give you 30 seconds, then we'll vote on your pitches. We'll give you 2 pitches each. Good luck to you, we say.
Wow, that is what we say. All right, this is a tough one. I mean, Beat the Clock is probably our group favorite. It's instant pressure. This is a little bit of a low simmer pressure. The sales pitch, as Tony just described, a real KQ Morning Show favorite. Let's get to it. Candace, who's contestant number 1?
Luke from Waconia.
Luke, good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning, y'all.
How you feeling today, Luke?
Feeling great.
You ready to pitch us on a concept?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Right on. Nice use of the word y'all, by the way. I appreciate that.
I figured you might like that one.
Yeah, it works. Literally just warms my little heart.
All right, step up, Luke. What would be a better thing to have happen to you on a first date? And explain why. Would it be explosive diarrhea or constant loud farting? Go to it.
So listen here, on a first date, if you've got to have a bowel issue like that, I think you want it to be the diarrhea. It'll give you a chance to get away. It might be awkward, to leave and come back so many times, but you don't probably have to explain yourself. You might get a little sympathy for it, and it gives you time to game plan. So when you go off to the bathroom, you take care of your business, you're able to come back with a new game plan. You can think of excuses. If you're farting at the table, you're just in trouble. There's no two ways about it.
Wow. Nice.
That was masterful, really.
Wasn't it?
Now I hope I get diarrhea on my next date.
It does not
make sense.
Luke does not strike me as the kind of man who hasn't considered this very quandary before.
Yeah.
Luke, that was outstanding. Wow.
You got to have a game plan.
Yeah, I like a man with a
every
with a plan.
eventuality, right?
That was fantastic. That's a very, very strong start, sir. Very, very well played. Now we are going to put Luke on hold and go to caller number 2. Is that correct?
That's right.
What the heck? Luke, you scared him off.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Christ.
We lost caller number 2.
It was that strong.
Yeah, right.
It was
Yeah.
strong.
All right. Well, so we're going to need another caller at 651-989-ROCK. Somebody who's got the guts to take on Luke, who's sitting right now in the pole position with a really, a poetic defense of diarrhea over gas. Not the kind of thing I ever thought I'd hear myself say.
No, moreover, I was thinking gas right away. I immediately went, you know what? I'll take the farting. Who needs all the diarrhea? But after Luke's sales pitch,
it's true.
It's diarrhea is the way to go.
I just like the way that the best part was when he said, plus, you get to get away, you
Game plan.
come and go, game plan from privacy of the bathroom stall.
Yeah.
Very, very strong.
This man's an up-and-comer.
All right, we're still looking for caller number 2. We need another caller. 651-989-ROCK. Gosh, Lee, Luke just walks into the room and people just leave. No, he's here. I got to go. I can't possibly compete.
I wonder if we should do it next time where the other competing contestant can't hear the first pitch.
Man, that might be the way to do it. I do believe we have a challenger. However, somebody has stepped up, Candace.
Sure.
Who is that?
Joe from Ham Lake.
Joe, nice job coming in at the last minute, brother. How you doing this morning?
Excellent. How are you guys?
We're great. Are you ready to make a sales pitch, my friend?
Yes, I am.
I like it. Tony, what does Joe have to sell us on?
All right, Joe, here's your shot. Make the case for why every car or truck sold should have a special compartment only used to store office supplies. Go to it.
This 1999 Ford has this extra compartment. You can store all your valuables. It locks safe. You don't have to go into your office. You can work right from your truck. You can store food in there, your dirty clothes. Heck, you don't even have to go home if you don't like your wife. You can. Heck, this truck is so good. It has a refrigerator and.
Wow.
Wow.
All right, Joe, coming in at the last minute to save the game and giving people an option for when they just don't want to go home. Stay in the truck. Very well played, sir. And I like that one. And I like that you went straight to the 99 Ford. Just picking out a year and a month and a make.
The good old 99 Ford. Do offices have supplies anymore?
No, they're all in the truck.
Doesn't.
No, they're all in the truck.
Yeah, right.
That's
in the
exactly
secret compartment.
All right, well done, Joe. Now we're going to get round
Thank
2.
you.
We're going to tee up round 2. So sit tight, Joe. We're going back to Luke, who just blew the panel away with round 1. All right, Luke, now it's time to Really step it up. Tony is generally kind of sadistic in round two.
I'm going to be tough on you this time, Luke, because you showed so much charisma and promise.
Here we go.
Tell me, Luke, why the ingredients choices you can now select from at Chipotle should now include sheep's blood. Go ahead.
So I think when you go to a fast food restaurant, everyone's pretty familiar with the different options you have, but especially with the sauces, you got your mild, you got your medium, you got your hot.
Mm-hmm.
You need something different. You need something that people can get excited about, that can really test the boundaries of what they're doing. And what better than the blood of an innocent animal to really, turn that flavor up and start to really get you going. I think it would draw a ton of customers, and I think it would be something you could brag about, when you're with your friends, if you're brave enough to take that challenge.
Test boundaries, turn the flavor up, and get you going. That's a billboard right there.
Yeah. Not to mention, it's a great sacrifice to the Lord.
Sacrifice to the Lord, and it takes care of that iron deficiency we're all struggling with at times, especially in these long winter months. Luke, I gotta say, man, you went 2 for 2. That's a very difficult one, but again, testing boundaries and turning the flavor up and getting you going are all things I'm a fan of. So very well played. 2 for 2. Sit tight. Joe is ready to go for round 2. All right, Joe, we're gonna need a special pitch from you on this one. Good luck, sir.
All right, bring it home, Joe. Tell us what the greatest power tool of all is, why it's all you need for life, and what you can use it for on yourself. Go.
This all-new 1995 that's dollar drill works not only as a drill to drill holes in walls, but also it'll take your lug nuts off your vehicle if it's 30 below zero. You can also connect this massaging tool to it, and it'll massage your back, your legs, your sore body, everything. And I don't think you can buy it. You can only buy it online, and it's $24.99, and you can make payments.
Right. All right, Joe.
I can make payments on that. That's nice.
The massaging tool is tough to overlook. A drill with a massaging tool sounds pretty good to me right now.
This could be the toughest head-to-head that we've faced.
It's really good job on from both gentlemen. And now this game, sadly, like gymnastics and ice skating, goes to the judges. Luckily, we all speak the same language, so we've got to have a little powwow here, guys. Mm-hmm. Tony, I'm going to ask you first.
All right.
Luke or Joe, who did you feel had the stronger sales pitch?
Wow, this is tough. I really enjoyed Joe's car salesperson technique of being an actual salesperson, but I think Luke had the methodical delivery and didn't pause and nailed it. I got to go with Mr. Luke.
All right, there's a vote for Luke. Candace, Luke or Joe?
Well, Luke, you had me at diarrhea, but you lost me at the killing of innocent animals. So I'm going to go with Jeff.
Joe.
Sorry.
That's quite all right. Man.
Joe from Hamlick.
I like that. I like a woman who just speaks her mind and doesn't. I like anybody who does. But just like you were right there with Luke, and then all of a sudden it was over because, of course, we all know Candace is a big fan of the goat and on all of their extended family and friends. All right, Zepp, Luke or Joe?
Like Candace, when he talked about the sheep, but I've never known, we had sheep for 3 years on the farm. I've never known an innocent sheep in my life.
Oh, boy.
They're all worthy of death and being bled out in the most horrific way.
Wow.
Slow death. Yeah, exactly, I think. But, ultimately I am going to go Luke. I just thought the delivery a little smoother. He just sold me, although I may end up buying a drill massaging tool, so who knows. But, all right. You're right. It was a close call.
It's a very close call. All right, so 2 for Luke, 1 for Joe. I've got the final vote here. I'll just come right out and say it. I'm going to go with Luke. The idea of always having a game plan when it comes to my irritable bowels is something I can take home with me and remember. Joe, fantastic work, especially coming in at the last minute the way you did. But I'm afraid Luke just got a little bit more of my attention with his sale pitch. So, that said, Luke is our big winner today. Joe, as the runner-up, you're going to get tickets to see Ricky Medlock Band Friday Luke, my man, Peter Frampton, Monday, April 1st at the State Theater. That is going to be a fantastic show. Thank you both, gentlemen, for playing. Very well done.
Hey, thanks, y'all. Appreciate it.
You got it. Wow.
Bravo, fellas.
Yeah, that's
I forgot about
a
the
tough
y'all,
one.
or I would have went for Joe.
Yeah, that was
It's all right. It's already done.
Nah, Luke's making friends fast around here. You jump right in with y'all. You're going to be my kind of guy. Hey, on the show, I'll just say this. You guys have heard me. My good friends at the Gorman Center for Fine Dentistry, Doc Steve up there and Lexi, just do great work. I've now completed my dental work. It's been months in the making. Yeah. I had some gum issues to be dealt with. Had to see a periodontist and get that figured out. And then I've had these just rough things, like a few little. This is both a fixing my teeth and then a cosmetic, making them look a little better and straighter. And man, yesterday I spent a good 3 hours in the chair up there. But it truly was a good 3 hours, and so I'm done, and I'm really very happy with the work. And I gotta look at that smile.
It was a smile, dazzling, Mister.
Bang! I didn't go
Blinded.
I did not get the liquid white paper chiclets at all. I said, look, we can make these teeth look like real teeth, right? And they were like, yeah, they just set me free. So
Yeah, they
very,
put some
very
stains
happy.
on there for you.
Yeah.
Yellowed them up a little
got
bit.
to a little. I mean, come on.
I want them white and I want them bigger.
I had some sheep's blood on there.
Yeah, that's exactly what I needed. I had the teeth that were stained from years of doing things to stain them, but also, but at an early age, I took some medicine that later they determined stains teeth.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
as like a 10 and 11-year-old. So, and then I smashed on a bicycle wipeout. My front two teeth, those big giant choppers of mine, they turned solid black when I was a kid, killed all the nerves. Then the color came back most of the way, but the most they could ever be was kind of dingy looking. And after a while, I'm like, man, I'm just tired of this. These things look nasty. Right now, feeling great, and I just want to say a very, very heartfelt personal recommendation. If you want to, get someone to take a look at your smile and tell you what they can do. Hey, and listen, the guy's name is Steve Gorman, so of course I'm going to be, we're going to be simpatico. Just happens to be really good at what he does up there too. So check out the Gorman Center for Fine Dentistry.
And
right on.
Looking
great. Good. I'm just going in. I'm just going to go in for a cleaning. I'm just going to see how they do with the whole cleaning.
Perfect place to go.
I know. And then you know what they do? They go, aha, look what else we found. It's been a while.
Well,
I need to get in there.
It's just like it's like pulling up a floor. You sure you want to know what's underneath that floor?
I really don't, but I need to.
Yeah,
I need to.
It's important.
All right, exactly. All right, well, we've been talking about this story. If you haven't been with us in a while, you're just joining the program. This metal band that raised the bar of dysfunction to a new level. This is certainly something to revisit and talk about. Also, we have this list. Is it awkward or is it sexy? I love these things. Is it sexy or is it awkward? Those lines blur very quickly. We'll get to that here before too long. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Tuesday, February the 27th. We have been talking throughout the day about one of the most awkward moments in rock music history. And I don't mean the time that, Mick and Lindsay, or Stevie, I should say, hooked up. Hell, maybe Mick and Lindsay hooked up.
I'm sure.
The way Fleetwood Mac was going back then, it was dark a lot, and you just grabbed the person closest to you. But, a lot of bands have a lot of dysfunction. A lot of bands have a lot of, for lack of a better term, awkward moments. A band from Tennessee that you've never heard of, young and upward bound, hopefully struggling young rock band. They have parted ways with their singer. Long story short, he was dosing another member of the band with estrogen in an attempt to woo the other guy's girlfriend away from him. Like, the singer liked another guy's girl. He thought instead of just going up and saying, "Hey, I think I love you," instead of pulling an Eric Clapton on George Harrison's wife and going, "Look, I love you. I'm going to write a song called Layla. It's actually about Patty, but I'll call it Layla, and maybe this will charm you to leave your man for me." Instead of doing that, he dosed the man's pre-workout powdered drinks with estrogen for 5 months in an attempt to literally a guy you're playing music with. You're like, yeah, I'm just going to spike him with tons of estrogen. Maybe he'll start to transition and go through such an emotional and hormonal flux of confusion that I'll then take his woman from him. This is a true story. Okay. Every time I reset it, I go, I can't believe the words that are coming out of my mouth right now.
I Googled what physically happens to you as a male when you start taking estrogen. The first thing physically that happens to you is you start developing breasts, fatty tissue. So, in the story it said that it was his fiance. So it was the Six's fiance, and Diego, the lead singer, once started spiking estrogen. Dude, yeah. Like you mentioned, Steve, you're in a band. Just let them get married. She'll sleep with you the next day.
Wow.
I mean, you're going to end up with her eventually, and then someone else in the band will maybe end up with this person. You don't know. I mean, that's how dysfunctional bands are. But, yeah, spike the estrogen in the drink for 5 months.
Yeah, I mean, most famously, like Keith Richards was very, very smitten with Brian Jones's girlfriend, Anita Pallenberg. And, of course, everyone now, when you see Anita Pallenberg, you think of Keith because he basically took her. He just said, I'm the one who talks like this. Come on, lady. Come over here with me. Brian Jones was losing the plot. Keith Richards grabbed control of the band. Oh, he just happened to be writing all those amazing songs. Next thing you know, that's how you take your bandmate's girl. You just write hit songs. You don't spike them with estrogen.
Yeah, I mean, it's George Harrison ended up sleeping with Maureen Starkey, Ringo's wife. And then when Ringo was asked to comment on it, his first wife, that is, he said, well, better me mate, than someone I didn't know. That was a good sport.
Yeah, I see. There's still things come out where you go, the Beatles are just the best band ever. They just can't help themselves. But a lot of awkward moments, in a band when it just, think about how often you read a band breakup and you're like, artistic differences, musical differences.
Yeah.
What about hormonal differences? That's a new one. Good Lord. I mean, that is just, I've just never heard or even considered anything like it.
Suddenly it just starts writing nothing but power ballads. What's going on here?
Honest to God, it would be less shocking. It would be horrific, but less shocking if he was putting anthrax in the guy's drink.
Right.
Like, just poison him. Just kill him.
And it makes more sense.
Yeah, you'd think.
Just trying to get him to go all chick, like we commented earlier. You're probably only going to bring them closer together. Mm-hmm. He was he was going to the gym and roiding out and the whole thing, and now he's talking about his feelings and crying at chick flicks and I don't know. It's weird.
Happen.
It's weird
These things
stuff.
Happen. A lot of and of course they made the move. They have to replace the singer, then they have to replace the band name. I mean, they posted on Instagram about it. This is a band that doesn't have a record deal. They're just getting started. They're from somewhere in Tennessee. But when the New York Post is trying to track you down for comment, you've gone viral on a story, and so they've disabled their account. I guarantee you they're going to come back with a new name. The Nail Drive-In 5 or something. They'll come up with a name that sounds a little bit more. That will certainly remove any of these sort of stories from the mind of the person who then checks it out. Speaking of awkward. There's a BuzzFeed article about there's certain things that people find very awkward that other people find very sexy and vice versa. Okay? Sexy, lusting after your friend's wife. Awkward, dosing him with estrogen. Let's just say. Okay, there's one. But here's some results of some questions, and I want to get y'all's thoughts on this. This is kind of weird. Okay, this to me makes I never thought this would be something we had to question. Eye contact during sex, awkward or sexy?
Yeah, well, I mean, you can make it awkward, right? But for a moment, there's a moment there. I think I'm remembering now that it can be awkward, but it probably means that, there's some sort of emotional connection, which I really try to keep out of the whole sexual experience.
Actual intimacy not welcome.
No, yeah. Awkward.
Well, 75% of the people said sexy, 25 awkward. I guess it just does come down to context, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's been so long since I've had to think of a different context. So, I'm probably the last person to ask about these things.
A healthy mix is good. You don't want to avoid eye contact.
Right.
But you got to, you can't.
Right. It's hard to think about someone else and make eye contact.
The trick is to just face different ways.
Yeah, it depends on the moment. If it's within in the moment of a particular act, that can be very sexy. But when you're like maneuvering around awkwardly, then that's you don't want the eye contact.
That's true. Yeah. Sometimes. Okay, all right. That all makes sense. Okay, how about this one? How about loud moaning? Sexy or awkward?
I'm an audible guy. I like a little feedback, but mostly after sex. I just prefer if they save all the moaning for after we're done.
And that's that. At that point, it's more like whimpering.
That's
sobbing, rueful moans.
No, I think it's. I mean, you want some feedback. I don't moaning. It depends, right? Candace, can guys moan? Is it okay if a guy moans? Yeah, it's all right. Well, guys are grunters. Women are moaners, I think.
Oh, Billy.
Wow. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, this is one I did not expect to see. Winking. 60-40, sexy, awkward. Winking's always awkward. I'm sorry. Winking
I
is...
think of old people.
Yeah.
Like when I was a kid, and the old person would say something you didn't understand, and then they'd wink at you and be like, what? Yeah.
I'm trying to think
of a joke there.
I'm trying to think if I've ever winked unironically, like without trying to be like silly, but an honest to God wink, like, hey man, it's just that's weird to me.
What about a saucy number walking by you and gives you a little winky?
I can't imagine that happening. Honestly,
she could literally flick a booger at me and I'd be turned on. So I'll take a wink.
Okay, wink. Yeah, that's old school to me. Dirty talk. There's a great dirty talk in the sack. Amy Schumer, of all people, has the best line on that. She's like, well, it only works early in the relationship because after a while, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna, and your partner's going, no, you're not. I know what you're capable of. I know what you actually are. You're like, dirty talk is the early days possibility, but at some point, no, it just becomes like, stop.
I think it's got to be passionate and spontaneous, which is the very definition of just getting started. After that, you kind of fall into a routine, and you don't want dirty talk to be part of the routine.
You guys are bumming me out.
Well, this is clinical.
Let's go. Well, I mean, correct the
I don't know. I'm
ways.
still early, so I guess I'll let you know in a few years.
Oh, I see.
Few years?
Oh, no. Y'all are going to be, it's going to be
How
feel
long
fresh.
is this going to last?
No, it's going to be fresh and sunny forever. No rain clouds in your future with Mystery Man X. Phone sex, 24% sexy, 76% say awkward. That's just not enough people having distance.
I love it.
I'm just saying, there's times when that's all you got.
Well, also it's like you know you best, so just the the encouragement's nice. But I'm the best at what I do. For me,
wait. No. Phone sex is you're on the phone with someone else.
Phone to have.
No, I know that. But I'm
conversation.
saying phone sex. So you're just encouraging me to do what I do to me.
Okay.
Is what I'm saying.
Oh, all right. Okay, yeah.
So I know how to do that.
I would do that with a person in the same room. I'd talk them through it. While I play PS5 or something.
You're like in the kitchen on your phone.
I don't want to take my sweats off. Here, I'll just talk you through it.
Are we at the point yet? Has anybody ever FaceTime with someone that you're in the same room with?
Oh, okay. No, okay. I think phone sex is fine, but FaceTime sex is not.
Oh, that's the line?
Yeah. I don't need to see you. Just
Yeah. Because you're fantasizing about a better looking version of them.
Yeah.
No. And you know what it is, Candace?
You trapped me. No,
I did. I did set a trap there. But I think people are unattractive in FaceTime. Does anyone look attractive in FaceTime? Some women will hold the phone way up high at an angle, and then they get something going on there. But most of us just look like we have a big nose, which we can kind of see up, all forehead. Yeah, that would be hard to FaceTime. You'd have to maybe someone's standing on the other side of the room shooting it for you.
But also, if I'm having phone sex with you in my, my routine at home, I probably have like a face mask on. My hair's probably in curlers. Like I'm not really dressing up.
Sexy.
Yeah.
So he can think whatever he wants that I look like, but I probably don't look like that.
I see. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Good point. I mean, let the imagination, play its role. Yeah, sure.
Just going to suggest a lot of backlight. Backlighting as often as possible.
Okay, that's one I said role playing. I've never been able to pull that one off. We've had some fun. I've been in the honeymoon stage, and it's, hey, I'm going to be the naughty secretary, and you be the boss, or something like that. I start laughing immediately. I just can't. I wouldn't have been a good actor. I would have been the guy on SNL. I would have been Jimmy Fallon, always snickering, during the skit.
Sure.
But I couldn't pull off role playing. It just never
even occurred to me to try.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Put this night helmet on.
Yeah, never a chance. There was a bunch of LARPers in our old neighborhood, live action role players.
Sure.
Sunday afternoons, just knights in shining armor out there defending their damsel's honor with sword fights and that thing on a chain, the spiked ball,
mace.
The mace.
Yeah.
It was like a portable Ren fair. They just come in, and these guys would stage battles, and it's right in this giant middle school's yard, field. And so you'd have families picnicking, you'd have people throwing frisbees, you'd have the occasional 4-on-4 soccer game, people with dogs chasing tennis balls, and then 40 full ass grown adults dressed like it is 19 in Nottingham Sherwood Forest or whatever. And I would just drive by every Sunday and just go what in the world am I missing? Because I always assumed there's no way they're not going home and then, just continuing the role playing.
Oh, yeah.
I saved you, wench. You're mine now.
Right.
I wanted a strong man with a mace to bring me to his castle.
Wait, there were women involved in this LARPing as well? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No, there are a lot of women. I've watched these things. I've been out at the playgrounds with the kids when the girls were young. There was one down in Savage, and there was a group of LARPers that would get together out there, and I just loved listening to them talk. First of all, they argued about everything. No, that's not the right period piece. They didn't even have shields then. If he's going to bring his broadsword, and I've got I just loved listening to them. They were just arguing all the time.
Yeah, they didn't have jock itch in the 1400s, Brian.
Somebody would bring a lightsaber. No, you cannot have a lightsaber. This is medieval, man. Stop it.
Cook this turkey leg with a lightsaber.
Yeah.
I'll cross up my streams. Don't tell me what I can't live action role play.
That was like Dungeons and Dragons. That got really popular when I was in middle school or just getting into high school. And we get together and have these church things. That's when it would always come out. Somebody would be like, hey, we're going to play Dungeons and Dragons down in the church basement. You come, apps, anything to get out of here. And and it was just, they would just so get into it. Okay, you're, Ortherio, the magic elf. I'm like, no, I'm not. Dude, I can't do this. Where's the football?
I missed D&D. Never played Dungeons and Dragons. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen a game in. I don't think I've ever been in a place where someone's playing it.
Yeah,
and I know people that love it, and I have friends who were like, oh no, when I was a kid, blah blah blah. But yeah, I just missed that whole thing. In fact, the most Dungeons and Dragons information I think I ever got was when I watched season 1 of Stranger Things, and they were playing it a lot. And I was like, oh, that's what this game is. Okay, huh.
Go with Cards of Destiny.
Speaking of Stranger Things, the girl Millie, what's her name?
Brown.
Bobby Brown. Mm-hmm. She's just getting married to John Bon Jovi's kid.
Oh wow!
Talk about a celeb young people on the way up or whatever. Wow, they're 20 and they're getting married.
Yeah,
I wonder if that kid's got hair like his old man.
Yeah, probably, or like his mom. I mean,
Probably
I don't know.
hot.
I don't know if you ever saw them both. So he married his high school sweetheart. I assume they're still married. That's kind of one of those things.
Yep.
But they got married at Graceland, a little chapel there in Las Vegas. I know that because I stopped to take a picture of this is where Bon Jovi got married, and that's when I was invited into the wedding that was actually happening at the time. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure I was Uncle Joe's date. I was taking a picture. He goes, "You coming in?" I said, "Oh, no. I don't know anyone. I'm just taking a picture here of the Bon Jovi thing. I'm here with kind of a rock and roll radio." "Well, you can come in with me." I was like, I would kind of like to see a wedding in the Graceland Chapel. We went in. They were all, the full bridal gown and the groomsmen and the whole thing. And I got a couple of free shots out of the deal. Sat in the back, minded my manners, and watched it. They went with, and you could go with the young Elvis, of course, to do the matrimony, or the Vegas Elvis.
Wow.
And they went full Vegas Elvis. The guy came out. He had a bit of a paunch and, in the jumpsuit that was opened all the way down to the hairy belly button. It was cool. It was fun.
Sure. I mean, when, literally when in Vegas. I mean, just check it out.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a good time.
Here's something I just read that I've never known, and it's got nothing to do with Elvis Presley or what's sexy or awkward. This is just straight up. You got to be kidding me. We don't have an elevator here at the radio station, but I'm in elevators often enough. I did not realize this is something you can do. In just about every elevator in America, if you want to go straight to the floor you're trying to get to and skip other floors, even if the buttons have already been pressed, you can do that.
What?
You step into an elevator next time, and let's say you want to go to floor 23, and 6 other floors have been pressed. You hold the floor that you want plus the closed door button for 7 to 10 seconds, and you have the express. Boom.
And that works.
Really?
And they say this works. Pizza delivery, food delivery people are well aware of this. Just about. It's not. It says it doesn't work in every single elevator, but most major manufacturers have this built in. So next time you get into an elevator and you got to go high and there's a lot of floors in between, if you don't mind pissing everyone else off in the elevator, your floor number plus door close, hold them together 7 to 10 seconds, and boom, you are on an express to your floor.
Wow. You're not going to have to confront them. You're not going to see them. You're going to zip right past them. They'll be none the wiser. That is an amazing hack, especially for anyone that works downtown.
Yeah.
One of those big high rises.
And so you can do that, and then you get to get to your floor that much faster. And I promise you that when those elevator doors open, somebody will be standing there, and they will try to get in before they let you off.
Right.
And when that happens to me, that's the one time I think to myself, I'm going to break a stranger's jaw right now. I have got few pet peeves, none of them more acute and more. I'm always on the border of ready to go when I'm in an elevator. When I'm in the little box and it's going up and down on a cable and I want to get off the little box, you should let me off before you get into the little box. It's just, man, do I lose my nuts when I see someone try to enter an elevator where someone else is trying to get out. And if it's me, I will mention it. I will stop. I will stop you from entering. I will stand in front of you and I will break it down. I've done this dozens of times in my adult life to the eternal embarrassment of my wife and children. I can never, ever, ever let it slide.
Little anxiety when they get in an elevator with you, like, God, I hope they're in some bonehead that's going to come barging in here.
But that's exactly what I say. The door will open, and I go, nope, hold on. Let the people off the little box before you get in the little box. That's how it works. That's what I say every time.
How do they react?
Usually with they're just like, very rarely will they go, oh, you know what, you're right, sorry. And if they say that, I say, cool. Almost always, they just, they look at you like you are so rude. And I'm like, man, what part of this is so hard to get?
Right.
Same thing with my other one is, and it's kind of the same to me. Anytime you're at an airport and you go through TSA and you got to get your bins and you got to go get, then you got my belt's off, my shoes are off, my laptop's out of the bag, I got crap everywhere in 2 or 3 bins, and you stack them up and you walk through, and then you can sit on those benches that are there just for people to get their act together again. And I always see a guy just sitting there like answering emails on his phone. And I'm like, these are not for you to chill. There's a specific reason these chairs are here. It's to get your shoes back on and get your stuff back, and then you get up and move. And I just sit there and think, I am the a-hole here, but I'm still going to say something. There's a whole bunch of seats over there that people who don't, need to get their shoes back on can sit at. That's just me. That's
line cutters. Minnesota, infamous for letting people cut in line. It always drove me crazy from day one.
By the way, I'm not kidding. Every time, because in the last year, I've flown a lot back and forth to Nashville, especially the first few months I got up here, because it happened kind of quick. Rosemary and I are we're kind of, for a little while, we were in two cities, and there was a lot of flights. Every single time at TSA, someone's like, hey, my flight's about to go. Can I get in front of you? Can I get in front of you? It happens, and it's been a thing. I just don't remember hearing that at other airports. And the last time I flew, a couple weeks ago, a guy came right up to me and goes, hey, man, can I cut in my flights? I'm running late. And I just looked at him. I was like, sure, man, go for it. Whatever. It was crazy. Everybody's cool with it. Was that is that what you were getting at, Brian?
Yeah, no, everybody's cool with it except me. I'm the guy that, then will make. And you know what drives me crazy? And I don't, go all ballistic, like, you're not cutting in line and get physical and in their face or some. Just like, no, hey, man, the line's back here. You're disrespecting everybody.
Yeah.
Just come on to the back. And people don't. They'll get on me a little bit. I'm like,
right.
Look, they're cutting in front of you too. I know, we don't confront people in that manner. We'll, when they gets a little further ahead of us, then we'll talk about him behind his back and we'll hate him a lot.
That's pretty
We'll
good.
go to the bar and we'll drink all night and talk about what a douche he is.
Yeah.
There is an insurance fraud case. We talked yesterday about some insurance fraud. I forget what the story was, but it came up. Throw that story out the window. I'll never remember what that story was, because there is an insurance fraud case this morning that has to be equally as bizarre as giving your bandmate estrogen so you can try and steal Jessie's girl, which has been, I thought, the craziest story I had heard in a while. Wait until you hear what this guy paid for this alleged insurance fraud. That story is coming up here before 9 o'clock. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Tuesday, February the 27th. This just announced the Outlaw Music Festival starring Willie Nelson with special guests Bob Dylan and John Mellencamp comes to the Somerset Amphitheater Friday, September 6th. Ho!
Wow.
Willie, Bobby, and Johnny.
Wow.
Nelson, Mellencamp, Dylan. Any questions? Tickets go on sale Friday at 10 a.m. Listen to 92 KQRS all week long for your shot to win. Man, that's kind of cool,
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
It's crazy.
It is kind of
Can
crazy.
you imagine?
Yeah.
I've been wanting to see Willie for a while now.
Really?
So I'm going to have to go to that.
Well, speaking of wanting to see a Willie, check this out. There's a skyscraper in New York City that is being proposed right now. It's going to be at 15 Penn Plaza. They're not going to call the skyscraper 15 Penn. They're calling it Penn 15.
What? Like that show?
Yeah.
And like the show. And to anybody from 11 to 90, that's going to be called the Penis Building. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
Penn 15. There's going to be school trips to the New York City, and they're going to go, this is Penn 15, and whole buses of children will go. Yeah, because I guess they couldn't come up with a better name for that. Wow. That's just one of those things. I mean, and it's one thing to have a skyscraper that already brings phallic imagery into the minds of every student that walks past it, which they all do at a certain age, but then to call it Penn 15. It's just like some people just have a sense of humor about this thing.
I guess, yeah, if you can't get out of it, get into it.
I see that story, and it reminds me of this story. And I can't speak to what it's like out on the range. or out on the ranch or out on the farm or out on the homestead. I've lived in mostly urban areas my entire adult life. I've just been in city after city after city, and while I grew up in a small town, I was in town, not on a farm. So I just take stories like this, and I assume everyone has their own set of rules, and this all makes sense out there where land and, like, say, livestock is just a way of life. In Wyoming, a father and son are facing property destruction charges. Why, you may ask? Well, their neighbors' cattle were crossing over onto their yard, into their property, their land. Yeah. We're talking about people who all have many, 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 many acres. And I guess cows will cross over. You get a fence on your ranch. If a fence goes down, someone will find out that the fence is down, and they'll cross into the land. So these guys, one neighbor's cows go into another neighbor's fields regularly. So a father and son, Patrick and Tucker Carroll, were charged because they took an interesting. They had an interesting response to the 189 heifers and 6 bulls that did not belong to them that kept stampeding onto their property. They bleached images of male genitalia onto the sides
come on.
of all of these cattle.
What? What did they have, a stencil? Did you say about 200 head of cattle, right? I mean,
just under 200 head. They
must have taken forever.
Bleached images, and apparently these images ain't going away. I mean, they're on the sides of these animals now.
Well, I mean, it doesn't really change the functionality of the animal. You still have those heifers pumping out calves and those bulls pumping semen into heifers, I guess, but it doesn't look very attractive.
The owner, his name is Philip Haybeck, he says he's lost a lot of money with these bleached cows. He was unable to sell them. He said the market value was driven down $2,600 each with this bleaching. So
what do they go for a piece?
I don't really know.
Well, if it's a bred heifer, that would be different. But so a heifer would be a cow that has not had a calf yet. So it's a heifer. Once it has a calf, now it's just a good old cow. So they're worth a lot of money. Heifers are. They're just getting their life started. They're going to be good for very, very many calves, and bulls are worth a lot of money. So I don't know what the going market is. It's been decades since I've had to do that. But when you go in, it's much like these car auctions or something like that, or these estate auctions. They bring them into a big pen and they run them around, and the old farmers sit up there and go, ha, ha. Yeah, they make a move or pick their nose or something. I couldn't even spot when Dad had made a bid, and he was like, "Yeah, we just bought those 6 heifers." We did. I didn't even see it, but that's what they do. So I guess the cattle running around the pen with the big penises, bleached into the side of them, must have just put some ranchers off.
Well, dude is saying 2,600 head, so that's about $500,000 in diminished value if you do the math. But yeah, the 6 bulls. Each because they have because of what they're for, they're got to be worth more. So, man, think about that conversation. That's what I want. Like the guy, dang it, Hobeck's cows keep coming into our pasture. Yeah, Daddy, why don't we go paint some penises on them? I mean, where does that come from?
189 times. I got a feeling after like the third one, you'd look at Pa or the kid and go, "This is stupid. I feel like a jackass. What are we doing?" But you did it 189 times and snickered all the way. Well, that's property. Them livestock. That's, as you mentioned, worth a lot of money, and destruction of property. Yeah. That's probably why they're in some hot water out. That's how you get shot out in Wyoming. Well, for God's sakes.
I mean, at every Western, it's like they're stringing up horse thieves left, right, and center. It's like you're taking away a livelihood there. I spent a summer at a job in 1985 in a produce department at a grocery store, and the assistant manager, who reminded me on a daily basis, I'm the assistant manager, because he was above me and therefore had to remind me regularly. Yeah. He came to work one day and was a shell of his general self. He was very withdrawn and very upset. And the manager, the boss of everybody, cool guy named Nick. And I said, "Nick, what's going on with Bird over there?" The guy's name was Steve Bird. We called him Bird. Right. And Nick said, "Oh, he's got a story. You need to get him to tell you." And I said, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, Bert, come tell Gorman what you did. And he's like, I don't want to talk about it, Nick. And he goes, Bert, tell Gorman what you did. He's like, I don't want to talk about it. And I kid you not, this young lad, let's see, I was 20, so he was probably 21. He told me the story of he lives on a farm outside town. They hired a stud bull to come in to impregnate all the cows over the weekend. So that's what the bull did. He did his job. He worked his way around the field. By the third or fourth one, he's not even bringing flowers. He's just going at it. You know what I mean? Doing what he does.
Yeah.
The bull, apparently, after a long day or two of heavy-duty shagging, was resting, laying on his side asleep up against a split post of a fence. Split post fence, right? He's laying against one, just sort of abutting up to it. Steve Bird is on a riding tractor on the other side of the fence, not in the same side of the fence where the bull is. Oh, no. He's cutting the grass. And as he brought the tractor right along the split post fence, the bull was lying in a way where apparently his very large scrotum was hanging out behind his legs.
Good God.
Do I have to finish the story?
Only if it doesn't end the way that it obviously ends.
He castrated a bull with a riding lawnmower. Big tractor.
Holy ouch.
And he told me this story, and he's devastated. He's really upset about it. I was so upset about it that I couldn't stop howling with laughter. Not because of the bull. I felt terrible about that. But this guy who had made my life miserable for weeks, just holding it over my head that he's the assistant manager. You don't know how to slice them cantaloupe right. He's just one of those guys. I was laughing so hard, and he said this bell, and I don't know how any of this works. And I was like, what happens to that bull now? And he was like, he's useless. I mean, the guy that owns the bull, they charge it's thousands of dollars per insemination. The bull's just a cash cow or cash bull for the owner. And so this is on a Monday. He's telling me this story. It had happened the day before. And I said, well, how is the bull? And he said, we haven't been able to get close enough to it to find out yet. It was jumping around, screaming and snorting and pissed off for like 18 hours.
You've got all that. Yeah, they can't Lorraine Bobbitt it somehow.
I didn't get the details of was it a complete severance? Was it just a major cut? But basically, the point of the matter is here. And for anyone listening who carries a scrotum of their own, I apologize for having to say these words again. He ran over the scrotum with a tractor lawnmower.
This is why I do not nap in the yard.
Yeah, never.
Wow. I mean, because you've got all that meat, but it's not, I mean, it's useless because, bulls, when they get old, they have that, they have their scrotum, their balls. Meat's no good. You can't eat that meat. I mean, I guess you could feed it to other critters or something, but more likely you'd have to put the bull down and take it as a total loss. Now, a bull would be insured. Your livestock's insured, probably, but this assistant manager will forever, long after his death, long after the death of his children, will be known in this county as that dumbass that castrated a bull with a hay mower. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There was a...
This will move.
I tell you what, man, it was him having to confess this story to me was one of the low light. I mean, I think it was worse than actually having done what he did, is that he had to look at that sumbitch Gorman, and he had to tell him that story. He was not happy about it. And that's a direct quote. I heard him tell. There was another at that same grocery store. There was a girl that worked there in another department, and I had gone to school with her years earlier, like in 6th and 7th grade. Hadn't seen her since, and now it's 10 years later, 8 years later, and she walked into the back of the produce department looking for my boss and saw me, and she just went, Gorman. Like horror, like she did not like me, and so that became a big joke. Everyone called me Gorman at the store, and then at one particular time, the assistant manager / bull remover at some point was talking about me to that girl, and said, "Oh, that old sumbitch Gorman." And then, of course, I was like, "Oh, my sumbitch Gorman." Yeah. It was like, the kind of things you do when you're just bored to death, hating the job you have.
Yeah, well, we started the morning. There was this poll out there. A third of us would leave our job for the same pay somewhere else. Just kind of a lateral move. Yeah. We just want the hell out of wherever we're at. Tell you what, we found 6 science-backed tricks for job interviews. Science. on your side. Maybe you're looking for another gig. Stick around for 6 science-backed tricks for job interviews coming on the KQ Morning Show. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. That was, of course, Led Zeppelin singing The Ocean. Robert Plant is on tour with Alison Krauss this year. They're going to be at the Mystic Lake Amphitheater June 7th. I've not seen them do a version of The Ocean, but they do whip out the occasional Led Zeppelin tune, very different arrangements, but they always sound pretty great to my ears. I talked about, just in the last segment, I somehow got on a bizarre tangent where I told the story of a coworker of mine having accidentally severed the scrotum of a stud bull with a tractor. It's a crazy, horrific story. And I mentioned that I was laughing really hard as he told me, which is, more about his experience than the bull's, of course. I didn't find anything funny about what the bull went through. But it's one of those stories that as I'm hearing myself retell it, I'm like, God, it's kind of a bad moment of time to be laughing hysterically at something. There's really not much funny about it. Hearing Led Zeppelin's The Ocean reminds me of literally my most regret, the moment I regret as much as any in my life, because I was laughing uncontrollably at a moment when I shouldn't have.
Why?
And it was when I heard that song played at a Battle of the Bands that I was judging. In the late 80s, as a member of a local band, I was asked to come to a teen club and judge the Battle of the Bands. And it was like 5 bands made up entirely of high school kids, and they were all going to rock. And me and a few members of other local bands, like big-time bands, meaning we were out of high school. We were in our 20s, so we were legitimate bands. Me and a few other musicians in town judged a high school Battle of the Bands at the teen club, the new hip teen club where the teens could go and rock out and have fun, teen fun without alcohol and drugs. And and it was a 3-piece band, and they were like freshmen in high school, little kids, and they played The Ocean by Led Zeppelin. And they were pretty good musicians. The music itself was not terrible, but that middle break where it does the la 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 vocal part, when that started, I'm just sitting there at the desk, at the dais, whatever, the table with the other guys, and the first kid stepped up and he went la 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 la, and it sounded about that good, you know. And then the second kid came in, and he was literally like, la, 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 la. And then the third guy comes in, la, 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 la. It sounded like one kid singing with 2 friends who were being tortured with bear traps.
Did you gong them?
You laughed.
And no, there was no gong.
Oh.
And it was so shockingly bad. At first, I was like, oh, God, don't. Poor kid. My first thought was to feel bad. And the more they went, by the time they kicked back into the song, I was bawling. I was crying so hard from stifling the laughter and then letting it go. Yeah. And I felt like such a jerk, but I could not stop. And it was just suddenly all their entire demeanor. It was like a scene from the Freaks and Geeks TV show, if you ever saw that.
Funny.
It was so awkward. And then they had to sit there, and they could see me. There was no hiding it. And I felt awful. And I went over to them later afterwards. I go, man, you guys are great players. That was really good. And they're like, thanks. The guy was laughing at us. They could tell. They knew exactly that I was the guy laughing at us.
You did them a favor. Put down the instruments, go out and get an effing career.
Man, I tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised if like somebody came up to me now and they were like, oh, by the way, that's Blink 182, Steve. You know, like, oh, my bad.
That would check. Yeah.
Do you remember the name of the combo?
Oh, no idea.
Okay.
Not a clue. But man, did I feel bad about it. I'm not going to lie to you. These things happen. Zepp, you mentioned this. A third of Americans polled said they would leave their job right now and make a lateral move. Same money, same benefits, everything. Would you take a similar job for the same pay? And a third of people said yeah, which means a third of people are just not thrilled with the job they currently have, and they'd pursue greener grass and damn the torpedoes of the nonsense it involves when you have to go to a new place and start a new job. That was a surprising number to me. I mean, not even a pay raise, nothing. Just would you switch? And the answer is yes. So what that tells me is an awful lot of us are probably thinking about getting new jobs, probably looking at jobs available online here and there. Job interviews an unfortunate part of the process.
Yeah.
And as you let us know, Zep, there are 6 job interview tricks they say are very, very helpful, very successful, and they're backed by science.
Right. Science got involved.
I mean, I trust my iPhone and I trust airplanes, so I'm a fan of science. That's the way I look at it.
I mean, they put a lot of thought into it, right?
Yeah. This science tells you if you're going to have a job interview soon, number 1, visualize a good interview. Studies have shown athletes do better when they visualize themselves doing well, and it works with interviews too. No argument. I visualize a lot of stuff before I do it. Always have.
Yeah.
On a 8th grade soccer team, first time we had a coach who sat us down before a game, and he said, we're going to sit here and no one's going to speak for 20 minutes, and we're going to close our eyes, and we're going to imagine the game, and we're going to he gave the whole visualization thing, and it didn't really work too well. But by the 3rd or 4th game of the season, it was coming around, and it really became an important part. Before years on the road before a gig, I would just take I'd take the pre-gig nap, about 30 or 40 minutes out, a 10-minute power nap, wake up from there, and then just kind of go into a zone where I was just eliminating other thoughts from my head and getting myself, but just picturing those first few songs and what I wanted them to feel like, how I wanted them to go. I still do that. Visualizations is great. How about this? This is a good one. I could have used this a million times in life. Before the interview, stop saying that you're nervous beforehand. Start using the word excited.
Ooh.
Okay.
See, I think these apply to way more than just job interviews. Anxiety and excitement are similar emotions. Your body doesn't really know the difference. Your mind does. If you tell yourself out loud that you're excited instead of nervous, it actually calms you down.
Yeah, I mean, I like that one. It's perspective, right? You know, that's that whole, dad line of mine, that my dad, well, if you can't get out of it, get into it. Yeah. Because we are going to make this fence on this hot South Dakota day. Yeah. And either we can have a little bit of fun and be happy that we're alive and we're together and we're making fence on our own property, or you can mope around. I believe at the time I still moped around, but eventually I think I understood what he's talking about. You're not nervous, you're excited. Yeah, that's just a better way to look at it.
If you can't get into it, if you can't get out of it, get into it. That's a good one, boy. I might tattoo that on a part of my body that I can see to remind myself.
There's a lot of stuff on the farm that applied to picking rocks, bales, working
just
cattle.
Anything.
Just a lot of it. Most of it, really.
Well, anything in life. I mean, it's funny because, I've had those conversations with my kids where they're like, well, this job's just meaningless anyway. And it's like, no, it's really not. Any job you're doing, you're putting your stamp on it. You're putting your, if you're the guy bussing tables at the snack shack, but your boss is going to see you, and then, it just, everything you do, if you just work a little harder than the next guy, it does pay off, it does get noticed, it does get acknowledged, and you establish those good habits. All the nonsense I would talk, and all I really needed to say was, if you can't get out of it, get into it. That's a really good one. I don't think I've ever heard that before. I'm having a real moment here. Wow. Thanks, Brian's dad.
Yeah, I'll call Skip up a little bit later and let him know that he's still out there doing good work.
How about this? Before any job interview or before anything you're doing, have a ritual. It can be something very small, like listening to the same song before you go in.
Smoke some pot.
Studies have shown that getting baked. Studies have shown that rituals can reduce your heart rate, help you concentrate, and make you feel more in control. Again, no question about it.
Yeah, science. They're onto something here, right? It just tones you down a little bit, right? Puts you back in control.
What do you do? What's the ritual, Candace?
I put some stuff in my bra. I have a couple stones.
Okay, hold on.
Ranch dressing.
Lucky.
I thought you just had like 5 nipples.
Couple things here. But this is just before an important event or a moment, or specifically before a job interview?
I've done it for job interviews, or if I'm feeling like I really need some luck. Yeah,
okay.
I manifest things a lot, so I'll write down in my journal the night before, I already have this job.
Okay, got it.
I already am a rock star.
That's good visualization. Right
what if you put those stones in before a date? Well, this is a surprise.
But now listen, I'm not trying to go down I don't want to go down an inappropriate road where I'm talking about your unmentionables, but you're the same woman who has said you haven't worn a bra since the COVID.
Oh, well, crap.
So,
Yeah.
So out goes
It's
that.
been a while since I've been in a job interview.
Well, that's true.
Let's just
That's
say
true. It
that.
has been wrong. Okay.
I'm such a guy, you know what I thought about? I was like, you've got rocks in your bra. That means if you had to, in a life or death situation, you could take that bra off and use it as some sort of makeshift catapult
Slingshot.
/ rocket launcher
Yeah, hell
with
yeah.
your rocks.
Hell
Good
yeah.
thinking, yeah.
Sure, David and Goliath.
But then that makes yeah, exactly. And that makes that bra a literal over-the-shoulder boulder
holder.
Yeah, all right, now we're making sense.
Bring that full circle.
Job interview trick number 4, according to science. Science! Start with small talk. Weather,
be tricky.
traffic. Studies have found you're more likely to get a job if you start out with some meaningless chit-chat because it builds trust.
I mean, just be careful. I mean, you just don't want to come in with something awkward, right? It's got to be just very, weather. Quite a day we're having here, huh?
Yeah.
Just weather-wise, boy,
guess.
a warm winter or something like that. You don't want to make it awkward, like,
Well,
right?
you want to know a little something about the person, maybe, but then you don't want to look like you stalked and investigated them to learn about them, like, like you remember those Dr. Scholl's corn pads? That was weird, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And because you read the guy had bunions once or something,
Is that your wife, Kitty, and your daughter in that picture on the day? Yeah, you don't want to know his family because you went on Facebook and stalked them, right?
Is that your daughter, or am I just really glad to be here? Wait, no, that's not what I was supposed to say. Check this out. Here's one that I wouldn't have expected. Get ready to brag. Studies have found women are a little more reluctant than men to brag in an interview. One trick is to pretend you're bragging about a friend instead of yourself, but showing confidence. People are looking for someone who's confident in their abilities. And a bit of a braggart, a little braggadocio in the job interview is apparently a good thing. And finally, this one, don't over-rehearse it, Candace. You'll sound scripted if you do. Plus, making a mistake is not always a bad thing. The pratfall effect, where you actually seem more likable if you make a mistake or trip over a word. Showing a little vulnerability, a little, oops, I'm so clumsy, it can go a long way towards humanizing and making you more relatable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Science says so.
Yeah. And show up a little bit late, like about 15, 20 minutes late.
Just
to let them know.
Yep,
yeah.
That's always good.
I'm in charge of this.
I get real wound up when I'm late. I've gotten better at it. My kids will tell you, you're always late when you're taking us somewhere. Like my kids have a thing, or they're like, yeah, like Dad, I'll say like I got to go to my friend's house at 10, and you're like 9:50. We're leaving, and it's a 20-minute drive. Like they would call me out very appropriately for that, and it dawned on me. I think it was an underlying thing I always had. I grew up where if my parents said we're leaving the house in 10 minutes, you were down in the garage in 7 minutes. Like that's what 10 minutes meant. 7. The first time I ever took the car out at night with my license, I was going to see my girlfriend. My dad said 10 o'clock. I said, okay. And he goes, that means 9:45, right? And I went, and he goes, 9:45. And I'm like, okay, but it's 10. He goes, but that's 10. But of course I was home at 9:45.
Well, does that mean 9:30 when he says
exactly.
It's really 9:45?
So I just grew up with that. And especially this. If I was at school or at a friend's house, anywhere where I was waiting for either of my parents to pick me up, they never waited 1 second longer than it took for me to open the door of the car to get in. Like if I said, can you come get me at John's house? And my mom would say, I'll be there in 10 minutes. She pulled up in 10 minutes or 12 or 14. But the point was whenever that car pulled up, if I wasn't ready, she'd just keep going. That's how my parents raised us. Like we will never wait on you. Ever. Now, that's an extreme, and I can see, there wasn't a lot of play for, but something came up. But so my wife and I are raising our kids. I'll be like, I'm pulling up to school to pick them up, and they see me, and they finish the conversation they're having with their friend. And I'm like, it just starts boiling my blood. And I realized, and I would say, hey, guys, listen, I got a schedule. I'm doing things. If we say 10 minutes, it means 10 minutes. I'd be like, okay, sure. But it just never quite clicked. And I think I was getting back at them subconsciously by always being a little late to their stuff. because I'm an immature jerk.
I think my kids have PTSD. I kid you not. This came up again recently. Something, and I said, well, I'll wait a minute for you. And she's like, oh, yeah, right. What? She said, wait? I don't wait well. I'm the guy that walks in, to a restaurant. What's the wait? If there is a wait, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And I'll make a thing about it. Like, no, food's not that good here. Or something like that. I'll make some jerk move. But yeah, I don't wait well.
I look around the room. I just try to vibe. Like if you say it's 15 minutes to get your table, you can go to the bar. I mean, I'll take a look. And but I don't know what I'm looking for. I guess I'm looking for a reason to leave. And then if I don't see it, then I'll stay. That's kind of how that goes. Yeah. But yeah, were you, Tony, when you were a kid, was that something you remember, that whole idea of you better be ready when I get there? Were your parents big clock folk?
Oh, God, no. I come from a family of procrastinators. My famous story is my granny. We went to go pick her up to take her to some dinner party or something, and she was in the living room and in her little house coat. Like, Granny, we got to leave now. We got to go now. And she goes, I'm all ready. I just have to get dressed.
Yeah, that's my line.
It made total sense to her.
Yeah. Wow.
That's so funny. And my mom would always do the thing, like, she would have us go in the car. She'd be like, I'll be right out. I just have to grab this, and I'll be right out. And then she would be in the house forever, probably, like, puffing something, taking her sweet time.
Yeah, I'm not falling for that. I'm going to wait right here watching you. No, just go. I'll be out in a minute. No. And then you get out there and time crawls, although phones have made that a lot easier. Right now I just go into doom scrolling or checking emails or something like that, watching, some videos of, I don't know, people falling off cars.
I still have a thing. And Rosemary will say, like, she'll look at me and say, let's do this in 5 minutes. And in that 5 minutes, I will then remember the 3 things I meant to do that I hadn't. It's like you have to put a fire under my ass. And then all of a sudden my life is spent cramming for tests. Ultimately, that's what it is. And it's like, oh, hang on. I'm just going to write this quick email. And she's like, you've been sitting here for 30 minutes. I'm like, I know. I didn't have a ticking clock. Therefore, I can't function.
Yeah.
You have to put the pressure on. You've got to turn up the heat. And then suddenly I'm incredibly productive and efficient. Yeah, it's kind of drives me crazy. Are you good with your boys? Like, if you go to pick up the kids and they're lollygagging, do you ever find yourself being like, guys, let's go? I'm the adult. Get in the car. Or are you chill?
I'm pretty chill. I get kind of cranky sometimes, but I know they'll go, Dad, I'll meet you in the car, and I'll sit in the car and I'll watch them like shoot baskets and play and wrestle, or look in the mirror and comb their hair. And I just sit there.
It's something, man. Yeah. All right. Well, I still find things about myself now that my kids are, they're adults legally. I mean, they're 21 and 23, and we still talk to them all the time, and they still, of course, need advice and support and different things. But I'm at the age now where I rarely do I hear myself. Like, I don't hear my dad in me anymore about anything. Like, because by the time I was their age, my dad and I weren't talking. And when we did, I didn't really care for what he had to say. I wasn't asking him for advice. But it was kind of a nice thing to realize by the time they were both getting out of high school. I was like, oh, I don't hear myself saying things I'm later embarrassed about nearly as often. This is great. When Connell turned 12 and 13 and started getting the rebellious thing, man, I had no idea how much of my old man was in me. It was shocking, some of the stuff I heard myself say. Yeah, boy. I was like, oh, hey, now.
My favorite line you have of your old man is, pizza. Oh, that's children's food.
Oh, yeah. I'm not eating pizza. Right. He had the one time we were at a basketball game at our school. There was bleachers on one half of the gym, and on the other half, it was just like folding chairs they would set up for the games. Those tiny little school. And me and a buddy were just running around. The varsity was playing. We're like in 7th grade, and we're running around and just, kind of paying attention, but really just having fun in the gym. And my friend ran right by my dad, who had just had enough of people running around his chair while he's trying to watch a game. And he grabbed my buddy Grant's arm, just grabbed him, stopped him in his tracks. And Grant looked at him, and my dad goes, "Find a chair and use it." I was like, what a bizarre thing. And of course, I've never forgotten it, and I've said that for years as kind of a joke. But I was like, find a chair and use it. And I mean, if Grant had picked up a chair and smacked somebody with it, my dad would have gone, well, he found a use for it.
He became a lion tamer.
He did what I said.
Went with the old wrestling move, wham, the chair over the head. I did use one the other day that was very much my dad, and that was Sid and I were in the basement watching television, and she said, I'm cold. And I said, put a sweatshirt on. Instead of, and then I sat there for a second and went, you know what, how about if I just bump up the thermostat? Yeah, let me just go over and give it another degree here. I thought, what? Go ahead. And she doesn't have to go get a sweatshirt. Just, go ahead and click it up to 68, Brian.
Oh, hey, by the way, that reminds me. I got a text from my son the other day. He's in his apartment down in school. He's got this cheap flop house apartment in Bloomington, Indiana. He goes, man, I just got the power bill for the month. It's like $110 for this little apartment. Doesn't that seem high to you? And I go, that seems really high. Yeah. I go, where's your thermostat? He literally goes, 74. I'm like, 74?
Oh, wow. What are you, retired?
I'm like, what house did you grow up in? I'm like, what are you, nuts?
They associate it still with outdoor temperatures. My daughters would do that when they were younger, too. They're like, well, I like it when it's like 80 outside. It's a perfect day. Yeah, that doesn't translate to 80 inside, honey. Is
totally
you're cooking. You're literally cooking.
Exactly. All right, let's look back.
Someone missed a note.
Yeah.
Sorry, indulge me. Last night's Edina's Concord Elementary School concert. That is fifth grader August Lee on trombone.
Trombone leading the band. Strong, Augie, baby.
Right.
Well
the most
played,
difficult
sir.
of all instruments.
It gotta be. You know how much, just because you need so much space to begin with.
Yeah, right.
It's February the 27th. On this day in 1988, Katharina Witt of East Germany won her second straight Olympic figure skating gold medal, single-handedly crushing the worldwide concept of what Eastern Bloc female athletes were all about. Oh, she was a looker.
Oh, charming and beautiful. I got to interview her years ago
Did you
at
really?
the Olympics in France. And it was like the Chris Farley. It was like, do you remember when you were skating?
Yeah, well, that's fantastic.
She was very classy.
Did you guys make passionate love afterwards?
Well, of course. It was awkward.
Yes.
And it was 1988, so I remember all of the jokes in the national media. Like, she doesn't have a mustache. No Adam's apple. She's gorgeous. Like, even then, I was like, well, guys, come on. We're pushing it a little. Well, the Eastern Bloc and the steroids and whatnot. It was a thing. Yeah, you had to be there, I suppose.
Get the KQ Morning Show podcast wherever you listen. 92 KQRS.